Oh, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show, coming at you live today from our presenting sponsor, Big Willie's. The perfect place for you to be watching Sweet 16 action this weekend, starting today. Big Willie's at 1717 South Main. The craft food menu fired up. The kitchen is ready. And, of course, the drink menu. They've got the specials. They keep below $4 every single day. They've got the cold beers on draft. They've got everything else in a bottle in the cooler. They've got the #1 pool hall in Utah. They've got ample parking and an incredible atmosphere. If you're watching hockey, if you're watching football, if you're watching Sweet 16 basketball, which, let's be honest, that's what you're dialed in on right now, this is the perfect place to do it. 1717 South Main. Big Willie's brings you the Sean O'Connell Show today and every day, and today we are here on location. Gordy Chiesa is going to join us in about half an hour. We'll have him through about 12:30. In the middle of his conversation, we're going to take a quick break from just chatting with Gordy. Eric Weddle is going to swing by. That'll be a quick conversation. The new owner of Love Salt Lake, LOVB, the Women's Professional Volleyball League that has taken up residence at Salt Lake Community College these past couple of seasons, and that league continues to grow as all women's professional athletics continues to grow. Love Salt Lake's new owner, Terrence Murphy, the former Texas A&M wide receiver, is going to join us. And then I'm actually really looking forward to this. R.J. Rice, former Utah safety. He was a member of that Sugar Bowl team. R.J. Rice is now dipping his toes into the waters of stand-up comedy. He's headlining next month at Wise Guys, and so he's going to come down and we're going to talk about how we got into the stand-up comedy world and, of course, some of his favorite memories of Utah football. Terrence Murphy, by the way, the new owner of Love Salt Lake, he's also got some Utah football memories because his Texas A&M teams played against the Utes twice, including at Rice-Eccles Stadium. So we'll get to all of that on the show today. It's huge because Sweet 16 basketball today, the round of 16 begins with a slate of 4 games. And it's opening day in baseball. Now, we had like an opening night celebration last night for Major League Baseball as well, but today is opening day, all right? And we're not going to let whatever television programming and decisions on the broadcast front take away from the American holiday that is opening day. 11 games on the docket for today. Your favorite team might be playing. Your favorite team should be playing. James Peterson is our resident baseball fan. Our guy Alonzo, also a big baseball fan. So, even if it's not your favorite sport, we have to acknowledge baseball's place in American sports culture. Pirates, Mets, Nationals, Cubs, Red Sox, Reds, White Sox, Brewers, Twins, Orioles, Rangers, Phillies, and more, all on the docket today. First pitch for Pirates, Mets will be in about 10 minutes. So another great place to come and watch, or another great thing to come and watch, I should say, down here at Big Willie's is the full slate of baseball on opening day down at 1717 South Main. James Peterson is back in our Broadway studios behind the glass, lonely, by himself. He's probably, full Costanza shirtless in there right now. We have no idea. But, James, it's opening day in baseball. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, always an exciting day. It's cool. So that Mets-Pirates game is the first game on NBC in like 30 years or something like that. Since the 90s. So that one's starting will be a nationally broadcast game. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, excited. I'm actually wearing my my Sandlot shirt. You're killing me, Smalls, with Ham calling his shot. Picture of Ham calling his shot in honor of opening day.
I like that.
So that's the fit today. And again, yeah, like you said, American holiday, we should all have this day off. If you don't, just take it off. Go to a game.
Look, the right thing to do is to acknowledge that baseball in the state of Utah has, in more recent years, over the last couple of decades, it has had we love our Salt Lake Bees. The Bees have moved out of downtown. They're now in Daybreak. That was problematic for some people. That was difficult for some people to swallow. We have not had our own MLB team. There's obviously kind of the transient nature of like James is a Red Sox fan. There's a lot of people who are Dodgers or Giants fans. I don't think anyone has really embraced the Colorado Rockies as the nearest neighbor or whatever. But I think the right thing to do is to start getting back into baseball if you're a sports fan or you're a fan that has been kind of like dubious on it, because I'm of the firm belief that sooner than later, I mean within probably the next 5 years, we are going to have a professional baseball franchise in Salt Lake City. We've got the ballpark out there on North Temple, the proposal. We've got a lot of conversation. Big League Utah is a well-run organization with good leadership. The Miller family has a great reputation in the sports ownership circles. I think that we're going to end up having a professional baseball franchise. And we're not going to talk about that every time there's baseball on. But it's opening day, and hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years, opening day is not just a national holiday, but is a Utah holiday, because you've got the Mountain Goats or the Cutthroats or whatever we end up calling that team. Maybe it'll be the Utah Athletics. Who knows? I think that the A's are pretty settled on Vegas, but there's a lot of things still up in the air with that.
Bring back the Trappers, OC.
Trappers would be awesome.
We have such cool. I mean, Porter's talked about, and it's kind of related to what I'm about to say. He's talked about the cool outlaw culture and history that we've had. Specifically, we have cool mountain man, like folklore and culture. All the famous mountain men spent time or lived in Utah for a long time. One of them named the Great Salt Lake, for crying out loud. So I like, they were the Trappers before the Bees and the Gulls and all that. And so bring back the Trappers to honor our mountain man lore.
Not noted for their lyrical creativity, by the way, the mountain men. Naming the Great Salt Lake, that's
yeah.
I mean, I guess he could have just named it Salt Lake, but he called it the Great Salt Lake.
It's because it's big. It's great. OC, I don't know why you have a problem with that.
The Salt Lake City Trappers, why not? The old Dirksfield denizens.
Shout out to Bill Murray.
85 to 92 is when we had the Salt Lake Trappers. If you're going to do Trappers, I hope you do it with the Salt Lake Gulls color scheme.
I like that.
The Trappers it's fine, but it's effectively, how many red, white, and blue color schemes do you need to have in professional sports?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the exact same branding. Absolutely. I just like the name, and I think Trappers is an ode to the mountain man history without being like the mountain men, right? I think Trappers is a better name than mountain men. So
Salt Lake Gulls, let's see, that was 1975.
Okay.
When the Salt Lake City Angels were renamed the Salt Lake City Gulls.
Man, they've had so many different names. I guess they're all, given that they were Salt Lake City Angels, I guess they were all always under the Anaheim / the California / Anaheim / Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I guess they've had a lot of names too.
How about this for Gulls history? When the team reached the Pacific Coast League Championship Series each of its first 2 seasons, and they lost to the Hawaii Islanders in both of those years. Hawaii Islanders? I need to know the lore around that minor league baseball team.
Yeah. Why did they go away?
1979, the Salt Lake Gulls won the league crown in the Pacific Coast League. Then they became a Seattle Mariners affiliate in 1982. But after the 1984 season, the club was sold and moved to Calgary, where it became the Calgary Cannons. So that burning hatred for Calgary in your heart comes from the fact that they stole the Salt Lake Gulls from us.
Yeah.
Fully justified.
That's why we hate the Flames so much. Hockey City now. That we have that burning hate for the Flames.
The Calgary Cannons, of course, have a perfect minor league baseball logo, an angry cannon, where the nose of this creature is the long muzzle of the cannon. And then following the 2002 season, James, if you know this lineage, I'm going to give you a James Peterson bonus point. Okay?
All right.
Following the 2002 season, the Calgary Cannons moved. Where did they end up? What team are they currently?
Ooh. Are they the Iowa Cubs?
They are the Albuquerque Isotopes.
Oh, yes. Okay. That was my next guess.
Of course it was.
I have heard of the Isotopes. I did not know that they were in Canada at one point.
Yeah. So now you know. Now you know the full lineage. In any case, hopefully sooner than later we have a Major League Baseball team. I would be remiss, James, if we didn't, on baseball opening day with Sweet 16 basketball, Gordy Chiesa coming in, we're going to get plenty of hoops discussion. We're going to get a little football discussion today. Barry Bonds joined the Netflix opening night broadcast last night and dropped an absolute what-if bomb in the sports world. Did you see this? Did you hear about this?
I heard about it. I did not see it live.
Okay, so Barry Bonds, yes, that Barry Bonds, told a story that, as far as I know, has never been part of public record. And the story he told was effectively that when he became an unrestricted free agent in 1992, after a couple of MVP seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates, I mean, he is one of the best players in baseball. He is arguably the best player in baseball. And the free agent market for him is obviously incredibly hot. So the story goes, according to Barry Bonds, who reserved telling this until after George Steinbrenner was no longer with us, and I guess decided that now's the time he can make it public. He said that the Yankees were in on him and were prepared to offer him the biggest contract that had ever been offered to any free agent in baseball history, that he was interested in playing for the 1990s New York Yankees, and obviously every one of us knows what that team ended up becoming. But according to Barry's story that he told on Netflix, George Steinbrenner said, hey, we love you. We want you. We're going to give you the contract that you need. We're going to give you the contract that you want. But you have to sign the offer by 2 o'clock today, by 2 p.m. today. And this is where ego and things like that come in for big-time professional athletes. When you put terms like that, when you big brother or mom or dad somebody like that who's in a position that Barry Bonds is in, I mean, you got to think about what he was, how he viewed himself and how the baseball world viewed him back in the early 90s. Of course, this is pre-home run record, pre-home run race, but this is a multiple-time MVP, right? This is the son of a Major League Baseball player. This is one of the biggest stars rising in baseball world, where, I mean, this is before we started really wringing our hands and worrying about the downfall of baseball, if that's not too exaggerated a term. Before we were worried too much about baseball, losing its place as America's pastime. And George Steinbrenner, of course, he owns the Yankees. That's as powerful a man as you can find in any professional sport. And he calls Barry and he says, hey, yeah, man, we love you. We want you. We're going to make you that $46 million offer and change, highest paid player ever. However, you're going to have to sign that offer sheet today. And Barry Bonds, that was enough, according to his story, that was enough for him to say, no, man, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not being pushed around like that. And just hung up, and that's what pushed him to the San Francisco Giants, and the rest is history. But, I mean, we've had plenty of what-ifs in the sports world. What if you hadn't passed on Michael Jordan to draft Sam Bowie? What if you hadn't, had this injury or that injury? What if Barry Sanders would have played for a team that actually had an offensive line? There's a million different what-ifs. What if Michael Jordan had, not stood in the way of the Utah Jazz? We'd be talking about a franchise that had at least one championship under the Stockton Malone thing. A trillion what-ifs out there. What if Cam Rising and Brant Keithy and everyone else on the team hadn't been injured a couple of years ago for the University of Utah? when you talk about the ultimate big-time, massive what-ifs in the sports lexicon, what if Barry Bonds became a Yankee in the early 90s has got to be one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, they probably don't have to wait until 96 to win their first title since, the late 70s, I think it was. If Barry Bonds is on the team a couple years before that. That's probably what happens. They may have had more World Series titles in the 90s than they had, and they were the team of the 90s. So, yeah.
I mean, you can't revise history because of how things played out. Barry Bonds, it's not like San Francisco is a small market. I mean, they're a top 10 media market. They're, I think, a top 6 media market. But imagine if Barry Bonds did everything that Barry Bonds did. Imagine if the Barry Bonds story played out exactly the same, or at least in a similar fashion, but he's wearing the pinstripes instead of wearing a Giants uniform. The media circus around that, which was already just an absolute nightmare, was absolutely insane, would have been 10x'd, 15x'd, because he would have been a Yankee instead. He would have been in New York City instead. Now, maybe things would have played out a little bit differently. Maybe Barry Bonds never becomes the kind of universal villain because a Yankees organization keeps a little bit tighter, runs a little tighter ship. And maybe you don't get these stories about Barry Bonds alienating teammates and things like that because maybe the Yankees would have been able to steer him in a different direction. Too many maybes, and obviously the possibilities are endless, and we're not going to go through every single one. But of all the let me tell you a story. You got 5 minutes? Let me tell you something that almost happened that we've had in recent years. That is like the biggest one. What if Barry Bonds had become a New York Yankee? So it begs the question for me, 877-353-0700. Unless you're a Yankee fan, you're probably not going to pay too much attention to this beyond me telling you the story, or more importantly, Barry Bonds telling you the story on a Netflix opening night broadcast. For you personally, here in Salt Lake City, or if you're listening somewhere else, 877-353-0700. Is there a massive what if for you that you just can't shake? I mean, maybe Barry Bonds carries this around, probably not. Maybe George Steinbrenner lamented that till his final days. Oh, man, I could have handled that differently, and we would have had Barry Bonds. It's not like the Yankees haven't had a ton of success between 1992 when this story happened and now. So you're probably not wishing and pining over one individual player when you have some of the greatest all-time, even in that same time period. Maybe Barry Bonds becoming a Yankee changes the trajectory of guys like Derek Jeter and when Johnny Damon became a Yankee, and who knows however many players.
A favorite thing for Yankees fans is Don Mattingly talking about how he was one of the best players to never win a title, and so many Yankees fans' favorite player, and they always lament, man, too bad he wasn't on good Yankees teams, and he retired right before Derek Jeter got in the league, and they won, four titles in 5 years in the 90s, the late 90s, and in the year 2000. That's probably one that changes. His history changes if they sign Barry Bonds a few years before that, maybe. Like I said, they maybe win at least one World Series before Jeter comes along. That's one off the top of my head that I think Yankees fans would be like, oh, that would have been so great because Don Mattingly would have gotten a title.
Yeah, there's probably Mattingly fans out there that are hearing that Barry Bonds story and be like, that would have been the thing. That would have fixed it. We go to the text line. 1037 says Trappers is a terrible name. Oh, okay. All right. Fine.
All right, blocked. No, just kidding. That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Matt, what would have been if the Utah Jazz if there was not a lockout for much of the 1998-1999 season? That's
a good one.
What if Bo Jackson stays healthy from 5011. Most of my what-ifs are either in my own athletic career or, I really do, and I know that this is like a fresh wound and I don't want to keep picking the scab off of it, but the what-if of that injury-riddled season where Utah, we felt so good about the possibility of them going back to back to back as Pac-12 champs. I mean, I was more confident that they could win that third one than I was that they would have a chance to win the second one. They kind of backed into the second one, and look, you hang the banner anyway, but I thought that third year in a row, that team was going to be better than the one that lost to Penn State in the Rose Bowl after winning that Pac-12 championship. And unfortunately, you never got there.
Well, and you could extend it into the next season because, of course, Cam and Brant said we're going to try to run it back again, do-over from 2023. 2024 is going to be that season, first year in the Big 12. You could extend it in that one too, which ended up being unfortunately much more disastrous than the 23 season.
Also coming in on the text line, I love this from Tyson Howard. This is a little obscure unless you're a hardcore combat sports fan, maybe. What if Cus D'Amato lived another 5 years? What would Mike Tyson have accomplished? And for people who are uninitiated, they don't know, Cus D'Amato was the initial discoverer / mentor / coach of a very, very young Mike Tyson. And for better or worse, he had figured out a way to kind of tame Mike Tyson and allow him to focus and maximize his talents. And then when Cus D'Amato died, unfortunately, Mike Tyson, he was sort of turned over to the wolves, and he did not, I mean, it's well documented. He didn't have good people in his circle, and he was taken advantage of, and he became a very scary and very chaotic type person. And, his legacy is pretty complicated, right? He's kind of been like sports washed and entertainment washed now. But when you go back to like the things that Mike Tyson was doing, and it's not just the money spending, it's the way he was treating people close to him and his wife, and, like he was convicted of things that are horrible and terrible, unspeakable things. And it's a valid question of like, would he have spiraled the way he did if Cus D'Amato, who's someone that Mike Tyson felt loved by, right, and protected by and mentored by in a more meaningful way, if he had lasted longer and he'd been able to mentor Mike through those, early 20s and beyond? That's an interesting one. That's not one that I would even think of had you not brought it up, Tyson Howard. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that to 1943, you nailed mine already. If Jordan wasn't the GOAT, the Jazz would have at least one championship. That is probably the most painful what if for Utah Jazz fans. What if you'd been able to just peak at the right time when Michael was out? Or what if
And what if you beat the Rockets in the 95 first round series as a 60-win team, and you didn't lose to the 6th seed Rockets, who ended up winning the NBA championship when Jordan wasn't playing? For example,
if you take advantage of the absence of Michael Jordan, then it's a totally different conversation. So I did not. I'll be honest. I did not plan today on having any kind of what if conversations, but I saw that last night. Barry Bonds just casually sitting down and being like, "Oh, let me tell you about the time I almost became a New York Yankee in the 1990s." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" I mean, the ripple effect of that across the legendary sports baseball, at least, organization, the New York Yankees, what it could have done for Barry, what it might have done for Barry. To be fair, the flip side of the coin, could have been a lot worse, right? Like, he already became problematic and chaotic later on in his career, and it would have been a lot more in focus if he'd been with the Yankees. If you can't get along with people in a Yankees clubhouse, that's going to be talked about a lot more and a lot worse than how things were in San Francisco. So
Can you imagine, like, you don't even really have to imagine it much because we got this with Alex Rodriguez in the Yankees uniform, but can you imagine, it seemed like it was a bigger deal with Barry Bonds. You imagine the steroid controversy if he were a Yankee? But we kind of, like I said, we kind of already got, like, the Yankees, we saw that version of it in the form of A-Rod, I guess. But I got to think it would have been bigger because it was a bigger deal with Barry Bonds than it was with anybody else.
well stated. That's a good point. So yeah, just casually slip that in on Netflix.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds. What if I had become a New York Yankee?
I've got two related to the 98 Jazz, all right?
All right.
One is and not just simply what's been stated, hey, what if Michael Jordan wasn't in the way? What if Dick Bavetta had correctly allowed Howard Eisley's three-pointer to count that was erroneously called a shot clock violation, even though he got it off like a full second before the shot clock went off? What if that? And maybe what if we had the lights around the backboard back then, like we had, like we didn't have back then? That it would have been called correctly. So there's that one from Game 6 of the Finals, and then before that, not indirectly related to the Jazz. What if the Pacers had gotten the jump ball in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals that they didn't get, that doomed them and doomed their upset of the Bulls? The Jazz would have played Reggie Miller and the Pacers instead of Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
The what ifs. Text them to me, your greatest sports what if, since Barry Bonds took us down memory lane with a story that, to my knowledge, we had never heard before. 877-353-0700. Barry said he almost became a Yankee, but George Steinbrenner offered him a same-day ultimatum, and he hung up the phone on the owner of the Yankees and said, "No, I'm going to go play in San Francisco," which made perfect sense for him. His godfather was Willie Mays, who played 21 seasons in San Francisco. His dad had played, 7 years of baseball in San Francisco when Barry was young. So he felt like he was going home, and that it made perfect sense. And they offered him the biggest contract to date, so it's not like he had to settle in not becoming a Yankee. $46 million, by the way, for a full contract for Barry Bonds is now like entry-level garbage money for a Major League Baseball star. But that's just where we're at. All right, we have to fit in a PGA Tour leaderboard update here from the Houston Open, brought to you by our friends at Uinta Golf. This week at Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf, it's the Callaway Fitting and Bonus Trade-In event. Beginning today and going through March 29th, take advantage of 50% off bonus trade-in toward a new purchase. Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf. Get there. All right, what's the leaderboard look like in the early goings of the Houston Open, James?
Paul Waring is your leader through 12 holes. He's at 5 under. A couple guys tied for second, including Kurt Kitayama at 4 under, one shot off the lead. Kitayama and Sam Burns, also in that group, are still on the back nine there, so a chance to overtake Paul Waring. Ricky Fowler is in a group of handful of guys tied for 5th at 3 under. Jonathan Vegas is well in that group, and that rounds out your top 10. Quickly, we'll see if our guy Tony Finau is in the field and how he's doing. He is in the field, has not teed off yet, so we will keep an eye on things. We'll have one more of these later in the show. Hopefully have a Tony Finau update for you there. That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by Uinta Golf.
All right, it's always a great time at Big Willie's, but right now it's an especially great time because the legend Gordy Chiesa is here on location, in person, opening day baseball, Sweet 16 basketball, Utah Jazz, and everything in the NBA. We're going to talk about all of it with Gordy Chiesa here on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, we got a jam-packed show today, as I've already told you, down here at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. Here's the specials today. $4 on Wheatley vodka, Porter's peanut butter whiskey, and Bacardi rum. $13 chicken cordon bleu sandwich with fries. If you're looking for something a little bit fancier, grilled pork chop, Parmesan sauce, cheesy potatoes, and broccoli. $15. That's a big, hearty dinner. I just ordered myself, I'm a health nut, so I ordered myself the spinach salad with the goat cheese. Can't wait for it to arrive. Big weekend. You've got March Madness. You've got Sweet 16 games today, tomorrow, this weekend. We've got UFC Fight Night. We've got PFL Fight Night. You've got hockey games. You've got baseball because it's opening day in baseball. And for a very limited time, if you come down here to Big Willie's, you get to see the legend, Gordy Chiesa, because he's hanging out here with me in person, which is always great. Gordy, welcome. How are you?
Sean, I'm doing well. Thank you.
So we were talking about the sort of bombshell story that Barry Bonds dropped on everyone last night on Netflix, saying like, oh, yeah, let me tell you how I almost became a New York Yankee. And that's got to be one of the biggest what-ifs. What if that had happened, certainly in baseball, but in professional sports, given the legendary status of that franchise and of Barry himself? I mean, I can't imagine what that marriage would have looked like. We can imagine it, though. For you, who's been around basketball and, more importantly, sport for your entire life, do you have any what-ifs that you always wonder about?
Yes. What if back in 1985, if the general manager of the Washington, at that time it was called Bullets, didn't draft the 12th pick, Kenny Green out of Wake Forest, who had a very undistinguished career, and would have picked Karl Malone at 13? What if? And what if would have been the Jazz franchise would look dramatically different? Because it's Frank Layden, who's in heaven right now. He drafted back-to-back years John Stockton at 16 and Karl Malone at 13, and they became the Jazz cornerstone for the next literally 20 years. And what if? That's a big if as far as just drafting the right guy. It helps the Jazz correctly. So Bob Ferry, what if?
That is a big what if. Keep yours coming in on the text line 877-353-0700.
But Sean, part of sports that's a great question. What if? Because so many things there's so many just happenstances. You prepare for the draft, whether it's the NFL, the combine, whether it's the NBA or Major League Baseball opening day. Yesterday was today. Now also is that every team has stories like this where some of it's you try to take the risk out of it, but there's always the element of what? The unknown. You think the guy's going to play great for you, and suddenly he doesn't, or so-and-so is picked in say in basketball, the second round, or undrafted, plays great for you, and you can't believe what you're thinking. What was it thinking not drafting this guy?
There's a 30 for 30. I love the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary series, and there's one called The Best That Never Was, about Marcus Dupree.
Yeah.
And I want a whole series about The Best That Never Was, because I think you really could go to every professional franchise, every college, every dang high school in the nation, and people there, coaches and fans, they're going to have a story about a what-if like this, about if this guy would have, kept his grades up. What if that guy hadn't got injured? Or what if this guy's parents had not gotten divorced and he had to move away or whatever, right? There's always these stories of the best that never was. What if this would have happened a little bit differently? And, really, legitimately, anywhere. I think of my own high school days. I can think of two guys that should have made it to the NFL, never did anything with themselves. And we sit and play poker with the old buddies, and we bring those things up every now and again. I want a whole documentary series about that for everywhere.
Very much. Add to that. So, Brandon Roy was Rookie of the Year back in 2005. He had chronic knee injury. And what if Brandon Roy of the Portland Trailblazers didn't get hurt as far as knee operations and just wear and tear at a young age, had to retire at age 29. The Portland Trailblazers maybe don't draft Dame Lillard then. So there's just so many different things that happen. Injuries is such an important factor in the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball. And an elite team, if one of their guys get hurt and they fall short in the playoffs, that's the ultimate what if. What if? For example, Sean, in this year's Super Bowl, What if Bo Nix didn't get hurt? And what if the crazy weather in Denver, the crazy weather where it affected, the offense for both teams? What if? Who knows?
Keep yours coming in. Like I said, 877-353-0700. Gordy, let's shift our focus to the NBA, where you are our resident guru. Most recent outing for the Utah Jazz is a abysmal performance by design, 133-110 to the lowly Washington Wizards. I have no issue with it. This is what we need the Jazz to do because of the way that we're getting down to crunch time. Only so many regular season games left. You have to make sure that you're not in a position to lose this draft pick. And you're now, you've already been chastised by the league. You've already had the slap on the wrist. You've already had the fine. You've had to shut everybody down. And you've got guys playing now that I guess the correct way to phrase the question might be like, how do you make it through this stretch without spoiling Ace Bailey and Cody Williams and maybe some of the guys that will be part of your franchise, because you don't want to develop bad habits?
No, you do not. So with that said, the Jazz lost last night to the Washington Wizards that broke their 16-game losing streak, 133-110. And Sean's alluding to Cody Williams, who played well, 24 points, 11 for 20 shooting, and 4 rebounds. And what you want to do with him and Ace Bailey is continue developing them in game experience and don't allow them to have any sort of a slippage of habits, meaning what? Negative habits. And that's what? Defensively, not running back in defensive recovery, that offensively, not swinging the ball, shooting with footwork instead of just flinging the ball, and all the things that winning players have to do and be ready to play helper defense. The Jazz really, I believe, they're secure as far as, less the lottery gods are absolutely against them on Mother's Day, Sean. That's the lottery day selection on Sunday, May 10th. And that's going to show everybody what they're going to draft as far as that. And the NBA draft this year is going to be on June 24th on a Wednesday, the first round, and Thursday, June 25th on the second round. So the habits are formed for the Jazz. Last night's game was basically bunch of both teams, a bunch of two-way players, and also guys that are on 10-day contracts. There were 7 players in the Wizards in double figures, and the only side note as far as that, there was some good effort by John Conchard also with 14 rebounds, which is good, and the guy's 6'6", 8 points and 3 blocks. Jazz play again the Nuggets, who are serious now. So the Nuggets are trying to fight, bite, and claw to catch the Lakers for the 3rd seed and hold off for their 4th right now, hold off the 5th seed T-Wolves and the 6th seed Rockets. So the Jazz have a really tough schedule. The only game that the Jazz are favored in the last 9 games would be possibly on April 10th on a Friday night against the Grizzlies. They should be favored. Here's the Jazz their schedule. They play the Nuggets, I mentioned on Friday night, then Saturday night at Suns. Next Monday, Cavs at home. Next Wednesday, the 1st, April 1st, Fool's Day, I imagine, Nuggets at home. Friday, the Rockets away. Thunder on Sunday, the 8th away. Then the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, and the last game of the year in L.A. against the Lakers, and the Lakers probably are fighting to hold off the 3rd or 4th seed right now. So the Jazz should have a great opportunity to keep their lottery pick.
You mentioned the Nuggets, and that's an upcoming opponent for the Utah Jazz. The Nuggets got 53 out of Jamal Murray, and Jokic had a 20-20-20 triple-double. Now, we've seen plenty of games where a guy just goes off, right? And his teammates facilitate and sometimes stand back in awe. When 2 guys are doing it at the same time, what is that like for a locker room, for a bench, etc.?
It's absolutely uplifting, and it's how they did it. Jamal Murray, 53 points. Let's not forget, his career high is 55 points. Last night against the Mavericks in a 142-135 victory at home over the Mavericks, Jamal Murray goes 19 for 28 from the field, 9 for 14 for 3. Give me the hot sauce, please, here at Willie's. 6 for 6 from the foul line, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. And so it was one for the ages. for Jamal Murray. Now his trusted sidekick, and you could debate that who's number one. It's Nikola Jokic. Last night's game was his 30th time this year with a triple double. 30 times triple double. Let's put it in context. John Stockton had one triple double his whole career in 19 years, and Karl Malone had 4 triple doubles in his 19 years in career. Jokic has 30 in one season. So, and Jokic is going to catch Russell Westbrook for the most ever triple doubles relatively shortly, probably next season. Jokic last night, triple double, 23 points, 21 rebounds, 19 assists, and Sean only 1 turnover. So against the Mavericks defense, trying to probably foul him, trip him, hook him, do all the things that players try to do legally and or illegally, he only has 1 turnover. And Jokic, for everybody that's always so immersed about players jumping so high, getting rebounds. Sean, I've coached some guys that can't jump over the Sunday New York Times, get rebounds. Other guys can parachute jump up in the air and get very few rebounds. Jokic is the classic example. We call it a hip-to-hip rebounder. He goes to the guy's body he's playing against him, uses his hip as far as leverage, and then gets that rebound. And that's what makes him so special. Jokic now, here's a discussion right now, Sean. Who's the MVP? There's no bad choices of this. Wembanyama is barking, which I understand, and he's rightfully so. He's saying, I should be MVP. Would you make a very, very discussion for that? Jokic has been MVP 3 times. He's been voted for the last 5 years. He's voted either 1 or 2 MVP, and the winner last year is Shai Alexander. Here's Jokic. This year, he's first in the NBA in rebounds and first in the NBA in assists. Assists 10.8, rebounds 12.8 rebounds, and he's 8th in the NBA in scoring. And he is the sole reason why him and Jamal Murray, both of them, duel as far as them winning. Aaron Gordon is still not playing right now. Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic have only played the whole season this year on the court together, 229 minutes, Sean, total. That's it. Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, when they're together, as far as in a game, their record is 17-6. So when they get back Aaron Gordon, do not count out the Denver Nuggets. They got back recently Peyton Watson after right hamstring injury, and he's a major young talent for them. And the Nuggets will be a force. So the Jazz play them on Friday night. They play them on April Fool's Day, April 1st here. And the Nuggets, they're serious. They're trying to bite, fight, and claw.
Yesterday we had one of the least surprising headlines, but still an important one. And we have not yet got Gordy's reaction to the news that the NBA has approved the idea to look at Las Vegas and Seattle as expansion markets. We've touched on this in the past, but it's getting a lot more serious now. We're going to get to it with Gordy Chiesa. Eric Weddle is still going to join us in about 15 minutes. We are full speed ahead on the Sean O'Connell Show, coming at you live from Big Willie's. March Madness today, PFL Fight Night, UFC Fight Night on Saturday, drink specials, food specials, and, of course, a great atmosphere. And right through those doors that I can almost see, the #1 pool hall in Utah. Get down here to 1717 South Main. Do it today. It's the Sean O'Connell Show with Gordy Chiesa, sitting in on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
And my list today, NCAA universities, most NCAA titles.
Well, welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show, live at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. They've just dropped off the food. The spinach salad. Look, there's a bunch of great bar food here. Gordy got a quesadilla. I got this spinach salad. And it's like the black sheep of a bar food menu. Perfectly crisp spinach, an over-easy egg on a little half slice of Texas toast, moist, well-seasoned, delicious chicken breast sliced up, and some goat cheese. So, also bacon crumbles. You feel good about eating it. There's plenty of things on the menu. Tater tots, tater kegs, tachos that aren't exactly going to fit with your diet, but this thing is incredible. Has all the flavor of those delicious bar food items, but a lot healthier. So something for everyone down here at Big Willie's. All right, Gordy and I have discussed this in the past. Gordy Chiesa sitting in. And now the NBA Board of Governors have approved unanimously to explore the bids and applications for expansion teams in Vegas and in Seattle. It's just in Vegas and Seattle. Nobody else gets to throw their name in the hat, at least in this method of approval. And it's going to cost $7 to $10 billion for your place at the table. We know what that looks like. It's the Jeff Bezos of the world. Elon Musk hasn't really shown a lot of interest in sports at this point. It's venture capital firms. It's foreign investment in some cases. Gordy and I were talking about that during the break. But my question yesterday, Gordy, when this, again, unsurprising headline came out, I was like, okay, when you look at the fans and you look at the players and you look at the league as a whole right now, is the talent pool already excessively dilute? Do we want to add a couple of teams to, go from 30 to 32 where suddenly you've now got, instead of 5 teams tanking, now if the rules don't change, now you got 7 teams at the bottom of the league tanking. How do you address the I don't want to say lack of talent, but the disbursement of talent across 2 whole extra franchises?
Well, the way you do that is there's many players in the NBA and the G League and playing in Europe. The perimeter guys could absolutely add to teams. The question is that there's very little as far as big guys, as far as amount. So the expansion teams will have a whole bunch of perimeter guys that you can make a narrative that can play in the NBA and play relatively well, but it's the big guys. And so there aren't enough really big guys, meaning we'll say either stretch centers that can pick and pop, play outside, or play old school bully ball in the lane and get buckets for you, as far as especially in crunch time. So yes, on perimeter, there's plenty of guys around the world that can play in the NBA and play relatively well, but there's a lack of numbers of skilled big players. So that's going to be the dilemma right now. But with that said, though, they're going to go forward with it, and there'll be an expansion draft, and the target year for the teams to come in is the 28-29 season. And just for the listeners, the last time there was an expansion draft in the NBA, and the Jazz were involved with it back in 2004. That's when the Charlotte Bobcats, yes, I said Bobcats, relocated to New Orleans and after the 2003 season, and then New Orleans rebranded their team to be called the Pelicans. Then the Bobcats, after setting out just 1 year of not having a franchise, they started a new franchise for the 04-05 season, and they renamed themselves again the Hornets. So the Bobcats moved became the Pelicans. There was no team in Charlotte for 1 year, the 2004 season. In 2005, they rebranded it to be the Charlotte Hornets. In jazz basketball, I remember in jazz basketball, it's called the expansion draft, where each team's allowed to protect 8 players, and the rest of the rosters up as far as interpretation. The expansion team can take one guy if they choose off your roster. The last Jazz player to be an expansion draft was a guy named Sasha Pavlovic, all right? And he was a Serbian that never played for the Bobcats because the Bobcats selected him from the Jazz, but he got traded to the Cavaliers and was the starting forward with LeBron James at the Cavaliers. And so what happened was that the Jazz gave up on Sasha Pavlovich. And a little side note, Sean, I know you love Hollywood stories, so in case you're wondering, Nick Vucevic, is a Serbian guy from the Celtics. His girlfriend is Sasha Pavlovich's sister.
Oh, wow.
So I know that you love this this stuff in Hollywood.
Family, the triangles.
Your triangle.
I love it. I do love it.
And so now the owners are going to benefit, which they should because they have the most risk. Each owner is going to probably get, for the expansion fee, is going to get $650 million or more. So each owner of the NBA will receive for the expansion fee to let these two teams come in as far as in the league and share in the profit as far, especially the national TV contracts, will get $650 million. So it's really a bonus for them also.
Insane. We have Sweet 16 basketball today. If you go to ESPN700sports.com and check in on your bracket, the $1 Million Bracket Challenge, none of us is going to be winning the. None of us is going to be winning the $1 million with a perfect bracket. Gordy, you're above me and you're above James. You've got Duke winning it all. Your bracket's relatively healthy.
But Sean, I feel bad for you because you were filling out your bracket when you were talking to the gorillas.
That is true.
No, so
I'll use that
really,
as my excuse.
No, really. In fairness to you, you were with the gorillas. I don't mean rebounders. I mean as far as on crashing the glass. I mean gorillas.
Literal mountain gorillas. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Matt. So really, you get a hall pass this year.
It's a first world problem when you're doing something like that. But
has anybody got all of them right though? Really, in the whole country?
No.
There's not one person.
There's no perfect brackets left in any place. I mean, it's the odds of getting a fully perfect bracket are in the quintillions, one in a quintillion.
Right.
It's insane because the permutations are so excessive with a bracket like this one. But, we've had years where someone will make it into the Sweet 16 still with a perfect bracket or something like that. Already there's nobody with a perfect bracket in any of the contests around the country.
And the reason why it's the great unknown. That's the beauty of March Madness. I had the privilege to go to the Final Four, and let me tell you, it's intense. And every possession does matter. One time, Sean, talk about fate and luck. I'll just tell you what happened in 1987, and many people would have been born yet. But here's what happened. Providence College, we're playing in the second round against Austin Peay, all right, out of Clarksville, Tennessee. The Friars it's a tie score with 2 seconds left, and we fouled the guy going to the basket. The guy's in the foul line, 2-shot foul, Sean, with 2 seconds left. He makes one. The Friars do not advance into the Sweet 16. The guy misses the first one. We call timeout. The guy misses the second one. We mistimed the rebound by this crazy Canadian guy named David Kiffer, who was from Ontario, Kitchener, Ontario, who's a crazy guy in Providence College, who's a good rebounder. He mistimed it, and the guy missed the tip-in at the buzzer. We go overtime. Billy the Kid Donovan, who's now reported might be the head coach of North Carolina Tar Heels, scores like 7 points in the overtime. We beat Austin Peay. Then we beat Alabama by 15. Then we beat Georgetown by 20. We get to the Final Four in New Orleans. Then we play Syracuse, our arch rival, and lose in the national semifinals. That's talk about luck.
Wow.
2-shot foul, 2 seconds left, tie score.
Unbelievable.
He misses both.
Missed them
both. And also we mistimed the rebound. That's even more crazy. It's luck.
Good thing you had Billy Donovan. Because you brought that up, North Carolina is one of these blue blood jobs, right? Hubert Davis separated from his duties, and there's a big conversation about whether you got to go within the North Carolina family. I know that there's certain places where that's important to a fan base, to an athletic department, et cetera. It feels like maybe now's the time to get away from that for North Carolina, but you tell me.
That's an understatement. The answer is, guess what? In this social media era, in this NIL, the whole thing has changed. So the last time that the Carolina Tar Heels did not have a Carolina former coach or alumni to be the head mentor of their team was Dean Smith back in 1960. One.
Well, that worked out okay for
It
him.
worked out pretty good. Dean coached there 36 years, and then Coach K coached Duke for 42 years. Remember now, for the listeners, Chapel Hill and Durham, North Carolina are separated by 10 miles. So it'd be like Utah and BYU separated 10 miles.
So Utah stays where they're at, and BYU is in Midvale.
Midvale, that's exactly right. Okay, good. I like that. Now Midvale. That's how crazy it is. Unless you do this for a living or live there or a graduate of UNLC or of Duke University, you can't imagine like the intensity and the interwoven of alumni of that. Add to that. So Billy Donovan, who's coaching the Bulls right now, and the Bulls are struggling. The record right now of the Bulls is 29-43. They won't make the playoffs for the last 3 years now. If I counsel my former player, Billy Donovan, I'm saying to him, the former great coach of the Florida Gators, he's in the Hall of Fame as far as that, is that if they hire Billy Donovan, they get a Hall of Fame coach that understands economics, the NIL money. Now, the general manager of the Carolina Tar Heels is a former agent, Jim Tanner, and his contract is not up until July 30th. So it has to be in lockstep between the coaching staff and the general manager of the team. So we'll find out.
Gordy, do you have a list for us today?
Yeah, my list today is for exclusive list of NBA universities with 2 or more men's basketball titles. So these blue blood schools, 2 or more. Here we are. With two titles, Oklahoma State, University of San Francisco, University of Cincinnati, University of Louisville, North Carolina State, and Michigan State, who is trying to get their third one because they're in it, with 3 NBA titles, the Villanova Wildcats and University of Florida Gators, who won it last year back in 2025, with 4 NCAA titles, Kansas University, the last time was 2022, with 5 NCAA men's titles. They are Indiana Hoosiers and the Duke Blue Devils, who are trying to get their 6th one. And so the last time Duke won a championship, Sean, was 2015. That's over, it could be 11 years ago. With 6 NCAA titles, I just mentioned North Carolina Tar Heels. They've been champions for 6 times. The last time, 2017, and UConn Huskies, who won it back in 23 and 24. They're trying to chase their 7th. With 8 NCAA championships is the Kentucky Wildcats. The last title was 2012, and the number 1 team with the most ever NCAA titles is the UCLA Bruins with 11. The last time the Bruins won an NCAA championship was 1995, which is now, if my math's correct, is 31 years ago. That's how hard it is to win. What about locally here? The University of Utah, the last time they won an NCAA title in men's basketball was in 1944. Yes, Sean, I was not born in 1944, in case you're wondering. That was during World War II. That was 82 years ago. That's when standout player was a guy named Arnie Ferrin, led the Utes to the NCAA championship. BYU has never won an NCAA men's basketball championship, and they're trying right now hard. Thus, Sean, that's my list of today of NCAA championships. Who's going to be? Will it be UConn? Will it be Duke? Will it be Michigan State? Will it be someone else? We're going to find out.
That's Gordy Chiesa, our resident NBA guru. We're going to give him some time to eat his quesadilla. Eric Weddle's going to join us on the other side. We're down here at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. Terrence Murphy's also going to join us in the next segment, the new owner of Love Salt Lake Volleyball, a former Texas A&M football All-American. We'll talk a lot of things with Terrence, including the growth of women's sport, particularly volleyball, on the professional landscape. Come down here, check out the food specials and the drink specials. $4 for Wheatley Vodka, Porter's Peanut Butter Whiskey, Bacardi Rum. They've got the Jefferson Ocean for $5. They've got a chicken cordon bleu sandwich and fries today, a grilled pork chop with Parmesan sauce, cheesy potatoes, and broccoli for $15. A big weekend coming up. It's opening day. Come down and watch the games. It's Sweet 16 basketball tonight. Come down and watch the games at 1717 South Main, Big Willie's. Eric Weddle next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show coming at you live from Big Willie's today, 1717 South Main. Food specials, drink specials, a perfect place to watch opening day baseball, Sweet 16 basketball, and anything else that strikes your fancy. It's been a few weeks, but happy to touch base again with our guy, the football legend at the University of Utah and in the NFL, Eric Weddle, friend of the program. E-Dub, welcome back. How are you?
My brother, doing great. Living the dream and just trying to be the best I can be day in and day out. I've been inspired by being around Galley and the guys and even BYU, just the great coaches and men, but more so Utah just because it's new flavor, new energy. And, I'm a better coach and teacher being around those guys up there.
Yeah, I'm bummed I missed you while you were in town because, I was on an exotic international vacation, so it's a first world problem. But
oh, my bad. Can we still hang out? Or
yeah, no, we can hang out for now. It's cool.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, give me some details, right? Because there's like all of us love Morgan and the energy is different and things like that. But there's limited access and increased access certainly, but limited access. And you don't know if expectations and reality are going to meet up. So bowl game he took over, now his first spring ball camp, and you were up there hanging out and getting to watch these things and see how it's actually happening. How is it different than the way that Kyle Whittingham did things?
Well, I think for one, seeing him in front of the entire team and preaching and going over the culture and the identity and vision and everything that entails on a day-to-day basis, seeing that and seeing how the boys gravitate towards that, I think it's probably the biggest difference, maybe. I always felt like the defense and the offense are two different teams at the University of Utah, right? Coach Ludwig did his thing, and he did a great job, but Morgan had his identity, and they played like it. Well, now the entire team is like that. Then you add in the coaches and their personalities and their excitement, and yeah, it's still the honeymoon stage, but when you have a great foundation of what your expectations are, what your standards are, when you're honest and upfront with what that is and what that looks like and reinforcing it, it's going to be it's a recipe for a lot of success over the long haul.
Do you find the lens through which you look at practice at Utah, at BYU, at wherever, does it change based on the idea that, your son is a highly rated recruit who in the next couple of years is going to be making a choice about the kind of place he wants to go? Does the dad version of Eric Weddle affect the football version of Eric Weddle when you're at these practices?
I'm just honestly just there to support him and love him and give him sound advice when he wants it. And he's really got a good head on his shoulders and really proud of the man he's becoming. So I don't want to put any more stress and pressure on him than there already is. I mean, every day he's got the weight of the world on him. So I'm trying to liven that up and to remind him that life is good and football is fun and this is your dream, that you got to work for it but also enjoy it. So I just when I'm out there, I try to learn and grow as a coach and as a mentor and a teacher. And then for him, I try to just sit back and evaluate what I'm seeing as a player's perspective. If he is in this situation, what that looks like, how is he going to handle that? Coaching, scheme, culture, all that stuff. I'm just trying to put mental notes. So when he goes from place to place, I can remind him of how he felt, what he thought, and they can contrast and compare and see where it goes.
What did you see from Jordan Gross, the Utah offensive line coach? Obviously, you knew him as a player. You knew him as an NFL player. He's been a high school head coach like you are now up in Idaho, but it's a different game going back to your alma mater and coaching a position group that has some big old shoes to fill. So what did you see from Jordan Gross coaching his group?
Well, I saw confident, experience. Experience is kind of like a hyperbole, is that, he doesn't have much experience, but I saw a confident, experienced coach that knows what he's doing, has a plan, has great energy, great excitement, is an extension of the head coach and what he believes and what his direction is for position groups and then Coach McGivern with the offensive staff and the offensive philosophy. And I mean, honestly, when you're a coach, I don't know, coaches know how to coach, right? It doesn't matter the level. Obviously, there's different levels of experience and where you went and how your background is and what you've learned. But bottom line is he's an incredible teacher and coach. And on the recruiting trail, I mean, I saw him a bunch of times in San Diego when he came down, and he was happy, smiling. And you're going to see big-time recruits come to Utah because of Jordan Rivers.
Eric Weddle's our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking all things football right now. We're focused on the Utes. For you, who from the moment you showed up on campus, like big-time talent, great player, the coaches knew it, the teammates knew it, the fans got to know it relatively quickly. What was your relationship with spring football? For guys that are way down at the bottom of the ladder, spring football is the Super Bowl. It's the only time you get real reps. It's your chance to hopefully catch some attention, maybe earn yourself a little bit of a spot on game day. For guys like you who can roll out of bed and be better than most people, what was your relationship with spring football?
Well, my first off-season this spring, I fractured my back. So I missed the first spring ball going into my sophomore year. And so it's obviously important. I don't want to say, like, I was back for summer and it worked out all right. But I think it's a great time to develop, to work on things that you need to when you identified those areas to improve. And it's about competition, man. Like, I told the guys everywhere I go, I tell them, you're on a play-to-play, day-to-day basis in this profession. So college football is very different than it was 20 years ago, where you have 4 to 5 years to develop. You're going to get coached up. Like, you got to understand the mindset is when I cross those white lines, I'm out to prove that I'm the man, I'm the guy to run this defense or to play quarterback or to play receiver. Like, whatever your position is, you got to prove it day in and day out. And if you're not improving and you're not eager to accelerate that process and really be pushed and challenged, then you're just going to get left behind and you're going to get replaced. So spring ball is pivotal. I think it's a chance to really get leaps and bounds from year 1 to year 2. And then it's really going to decide whether you stay in the program or not.
How well have you gotten to know Colton Swan, who's taken over this defense that you know so well, and obviously you ran so well, but it's belonged to Morgan for a long time, and now Colton Swan gets his crack at it. How well do you know him?
Oh, Colton's a man. He's always been so gracious, and really, I look at some of the best coaches, leaders that I've been around, and they're always kind of come from the same mold of being humble, having some humility, and always willing to listen and to adapt, right? And so, yeah, the core of the defense is who we are. Started with Coach Witt, and then Kalani, Coach Anderson, then Morgan, and now Swan's the next guy in succession. But it doesn't mean you can't put your own flavor and put new wrinkles and put your own flavor on the team, because that's how you get better and that's how you improvise and that's how you stay ahead of the curve. So he's done that being in the meetings. He allowed me to be in the defense staff meetings, allowed me to just be a fly on the wall and being able to chime in on things that I saw that maybe some improvements or maybe try this, and always just really gracious and wants me around. So I'm excited for him, excited for the defense to continue our standard, but also add some wrinkles in to make it better.
This is not a Utah football question. How come you weren't out there playing flag football with all those NFL guys and the Team USA flag football challenge?
No. Do these guys know that, like, flag is not real football, for one? Two, these guys are like, this is their world, this is their Super Bowl, and they just got embarrassed out there. So you couldn't pay me enough, one, to go out there against these flag dudes that you do some of those moves and you're dead on the football field. But out here, you're making us look silly because that's just not our game, man. We got to know what we're good at and not be prideful enough to go out there and embarrass ourselves. So you won't see me out there. You won't see me running or cutting or anything. I've basically retired my athleticism so I don't get hurt for the rest of my life.
I will say this is something I appreciate about you, and it cracks me up about every other NFL player that I know. And I understand the mentality has value, especially when you're talking about how dangerous and competitive the NFL is. But I have never met an NFL player, besides you basically, who doesn't think they're good at everything, that they're the best at everything. Every NFL player I've talked to about the fight game, they're just like, yeah, I could go out there, I could beat you. I'm like, dude, stop it. Like, I'm also great at basketball. I could also hit a fastball. I'm like, no, to make it to the NFL, you're an alien. You're a freak. You're an unbelievable athlete. It doesn't mean you're great at every single thing. And
Definitely not.
But there's a lot of guys who do feel that way. You, thankfully, are not among them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I've been lucky and fortunate enough to be around elite people in their respective professions. And it becomes a reality really quick that I have no business, nor do I want to even think that I'm on the same level as these guys. Whether it's you in fighting, whether it's basketball players. Like, I remember one offseason, I was probably in prime basketball playing. This was probably early 20s, 23, 24, 25. We're playing adult leagues. And this group of guys came from basically overseas to play us because we had like Gatesy and we had Vince Jackson and Malcolm Floyd. So we had a good team. And I remember vividly, these guys are like, they can't even make a G League. I couldn't get by them. I couldn't get by them. Like, I look at myself as elite quickness and twitchiness. When I had the ball, I literally could not go by anybody. And I knew right then and there, I'm like, I have no business. Like, I'm playing basketball for fun. Never will I disrespect the pros because they're just a whole nother level. And just say it's like the same thing when people say, oh, I could go play football. It's like, well, no, you can't, because if you could, you would have. So
That's right.
I don't like to live in that world. No, I can't because I didn't, and I'm not good enough. Pretty simple.
Eric Weddle, our guest for another couple minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Look, we're all ready to move on. We're all excited about Morgan taking over this program, and I wish Kyle Whittingham well. I know that there's a lot of people who don't. We had last Friday, the emails came out between the athletic department and Coach Witt's agent, and we saw kind of in stark relief what those conversations actually were. And hey, I want to come back. This is how much money I want. This is how much NIL support I want. And then the athletic department response. So we'll give you this much money instead. We're going to let Morgan have final personnel decision-making power starting basically right now. While you're the head coach, you're not making – I mean, we saw it. It was insight into the details of a divorce. And so it feels a little icky to read, but now we have more information. What did you take away from that new information?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like, hey, Coach Witt still wanted to coach. He had some things that he wanted. The admin said, nah, we're not going to do that. Coach Witt didn't like it, and then they broke up. So, and he still wanted to coach. I don't really think, like, one side is the reason why Coach Witt left and this and that. It's like, hey, at some point change was going to happen. So it just happened now, and both sides are happy. They're going to crush it over there. I'm going to see them next week, so I'm going to give him a hug, and know he's going to be smiling. And so I don't – at the end of the day, just like Morgan said, like, he owes it to the players, this university, to focus all his time and energy on the University of Utah and the football team, not whatever happened in the past. And he knows he had nothing to do with it, and he's excited in his role. And the same thing with Coach Witt. So I think everyone just needs to kind of calm down. What is done is done, and we're moving forward, and we can kind of put it to rest and let bygones be bygones.
All right, before we let you go, our next guest is Terrence Murphy, who you played against when he was at Texas A&M. He's the new owner of the professional volleyball team here in Salt Lake City. He was a second-round draft pick in the NFL that had spinal stenosis. His career was ended after just a few games because of an injury. But what are your memories of Texas A&M, especially that game at Rice-Eccles?
Holy smokes. Well, and I remember it short-lived because I tore my MCL, I think, in the first quarter. And didn't get to play the rest of the game. But I watched from the sideline and with crutches. But I remember the year before, playing. That was my first experience of, holy smokes, I'm going from Altaloma High School to Kyle Field at Texas A&M, and
Yeah.
looking up at the sea of fans like interlocked and going right to left. And I remember teammates getting motion sickness when they're looking at it, and how close that game was. And I knew we had a good team coming back, and we got after them at home. But yeah, that was like, you know, that Oregon game, the Cal game the year before, like, those are like monumental wins for our program that kind of put us on a trajectory of being relevant and respected across the country.
Well, those are great memories, great years. Sorry I missed you when you're in town. I'll make up for it next time. Appreciate you jumping.
We'll be up, 4th of July, that week after 4th of July we'll be up. So I'll have to get the families together.
Yeah, let's get them together. We'll go up and we'll take the boat up or something, all right?
Yeah, let's do it, bro.
All right. Thanks,
Love
dude.
you, bro.
Appreciate you. Love you, dude.
Always.
That's Eric Weddle, the Utah football legend, NFL legend, I think future NFL Hall of Famer. That's my hope, at least. Sounds like he's headed out to Michigan next week. I hope he has a terrible experience there, just because I don't want his kid to go to Michigan. Anyway, we're down here at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main, and I'm halfway through my delicious lunch. We've got drink specials. We've got food specials. We've got opening day baseball on the big screens. We've got Sweet 16 basketball coming later. Last night you had trivia. And Patrick, the mastermind of all things here at Big Willie's, sits down with us to tell us more about what's going on. Hey, dude, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having us out again.
You're welcome. I'm a little disappointed in you today.
Because I ordered something healthy?
Yes.
Why? Look at me. I
put pork chops on the menu just for you.
I need to start eating a little bit better. Look at me.
So a cup of spinach is the what you needed.
Well, it's delicious.
It is. It is delicious.
I know I probably overdo it on this, but like when you go to a bar and you order bar food, you're probably okay, right? If you go to most bars and you order something that doesn't fit in like the fried category, you're probably not going to enjoy your meal. When you come here to Big Willie's and you get something that's a little bit off kilter, like a spinach salad, like a healthy alternative, it's actually excellent. I mean, this belongs on any fine dining menu, and it's here at a bar.
Yeah, the spinach salad is excellent. The Cobb salad is phenomenal. Yeah, we have good food here.
Okay, Sweet 16 basketball happening this weekend. UFC Fight Night this weekend. PFL Fight Night this weekend. Opening day baseball. You got a lot of things coming.
Yeah, good thing we have a lot of TVs in the dining room so we can broadcast all of those events at the same time. So no matter if you're coming in just for the PFL fights or UFC Fight Night, which happens to be a decent card this week, with the basketball, everything is going to be on the TV. So you're not going to miss out on any of the action.
And you're going to have, as you always do, you'll have great drink specials through the weekend.
Great drink specials. We take a lot of pride in our craft cocktail list. We have over 13 unique cocktails. Everything's made in-house, from the syrups to the juices. They're all really delicious, very unique. Come down and try them.
And pair them with some of the incredible food on the food menu. The special today, grilled pork chop with Parmesan sauce, cheesy potatoes, and broccoli. They've also got a chicken cordon bleu sandwich and fries. And one of my favorite things about Big Willie's, it doesn't kill your wallet. The drink specials, $4. The cold beers on draft, they keep them within the right price range. The food specials are very, very reasonable. So you're going to come down, you're going to have a great time. You're going to watch some basketball, watch some baseball. And you know what? You can afford to tip the great service well, because they're not gashing you on the food and drink prices.
Yeah, it's kind of our secret sauce here. You know, we keep everything wallet friendly. Like Sean was saying, our pints are $4.25. Our steins, which are a true 34-ounce stein, is $6.25. So we try to take care of our customers, and in turn they take care of us and come back and take care of our servers. We just feel like it's the best way to go.
And by the way, come down early for the our first basketball game tonight is right as everyone's getting off work. Just swing on by. It's the middle of the day, and we got a nice little crowd already. So people here watching the baseball. It's going to get packed later to watch the basketball. So come down right after work and make sure you get yourself a spot. But wherever you're standing in here, you're going to be able to see the big screens anyway, so you're going to enjoy your time.
How's your bracket?
Let's not get into that.
Who's doing better out of you and James?
I'm doing better than James.
No, that's all that matters.
But unfortunately, me and James we're on the bottom end of all the station people, which is it doesn't look good when you're supposed to be the sports expert. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens.
Like
I'm sure Florida hurt a lot of people losing.
Our morning show host over on the Easy Listening station is number one bracket. Not because he's paying the most attention to college hoops, I'll tell you that. Dang it! Thanks for bringing it up, Patrick.
Sorry, I didn't know it was that bad of a sore spot.
Thanks for having us out.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate you. All right. The new owner of Love Volleyball, Love Salt Lake, an emerging league of professional volleyball, professional women's volleyball. Right now they're playing at Salt Lake Community College. The new owner, happens to be a former college football All-American from Texas A&M. Terrence Murphy next on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. For us here in Salt Lake City, the new owner of LOVB, Love Volleyball, Love Salt Lake, Terrence Murphy. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Sean. How you doing?
Doing all right. Excited to talk to you about this. We've had Love Salt Lake players in studio before. We've talked to coaches. I've run into the women involved with professional volleyball in Salt Lake more at the airport than I have anywhere, any other people, any other athletes. I don't know why that's happening, but it's they stand out, obviously.
They do.
And I guess my first question for you is, why Salt Lake? Why an emerging women's volleyball professional league? Like, why did this interest you and your partners?
Yeah, it's a great question. It may be a long answer, but I'll give it to you. So growing up in East Texas, I have older brothers that play D1. Obviously, I was a D1 athlete, All-American at Texas A&M, and got drafted by the Packers. But my closest sibling was my sister. So she was a volleyball player. So that was my first introduction as the baby boy, having to shag the balls and go to the games. But then, when I retired, got back, my wife and I have been married for 18 years, just had our 18th anniversary on the 18th. And our oldest got into volleyball at a young age. So she's a setter here in Texas, plays for Houston Skyline, the Woodlands. And once again, as a volleyball dad, you want to help your kids be the best version of themselves. And so as I was investing in sports and investing in real estate and all the different things that I do, private equity really just got approved in the last 5 or 6 years to invest in the Big Four. And so as I was watching that and tracking it, I just kept circling back to other sports like volleyball and soccer and all these things. And so the thesis of Synergy Sports Capital is investing in emerging leagues and teams with real estate development opportunities in sports adjacent businesses. And so as I was evaluating volleyball, looking at the couple leagues that were spurring up, Love just kept circling back, and my daughter's in the Love system. And I've never seen a league that has a youth with college and then pro pathway. And that's really where it started, my interest with Love.
So that pathway, we have a lot of parents that listen to the show. We interact with people, especially on social media, talking about the sort of youth sports system as it is now. You and I are about the same age, and I don't know what your prep life was like pre-high school and little league stuff, but it felt like we got to sign up for what we wanted to do. If you were an elite player, you'd probably get called by an all-star team. You would emerge. The system feels a lot different now. We talk to a lot of parents who are like, man, I got this daughter who's incredibly talented. She's tall. She's a jumper. She's an athlete. I don't know if I'm helping her follow the right path to get a scholarship, maybe to pursue professional opportunities eventually. Club volleyball's crazy expensive. You're now involved in kind of the top line of this. And as we look at the pathway to get to a place like Love, if we talk about how you can play Division I volleyball or basketball or soccer or gymnastics or for whatever that matter, are we serving from the top down with other leagues, the youth, the families that are trying to set their kids up for success?
That's a great question, Sean. I think it's one of the things that attracted me to it. Being obviously football, D1 athlete, and being in track and baseball and basketball, it was very fragmented, right? Obviously, 707 was kind of our AAU for football. We didn't really have that. And then, obviously you have the AAU in basketball and obviously club teams in soccer and blah, blah, blah. So with volleyball, when you look at it, to be able to plug in a young lady into a system where it's integrated, right? There's times where there's middle schoolers, high schoolers, and pro volleyball players training in the same facility. That's very, very unique. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about after retiring from the NFL, having the injury early on in my career and just not being prepared to transition. One of the things that I want to bring, and I've already brought it up in the governor meetings with the other owners, is what are we doing for the athletes like in off season? What are we doing for the athletes that transition out of Love and they want to transition into business or finance or whatever? So I'm very passionate about that transition because I had to go through it on my own. And I think that's just another component that I bring to the table, that I'm really focused on the athlete first, whether it's middle school, high school, college, or pro.
Going back to that thesis statement you gave me for Synergy Sports, the emerging, growing leagues, but also sports adjacent businesses, potentially real estate. Why is Love in that category? When we talk about acquiring ownership or ownership stake in like the soccer team here, obviously we got an NHL team this year. You then get an announcement of, oh yeah, we're going to build this facility out there in Harriman, Utah for the soccer team. And now there's an academy for Real Salt Lake and all these plans and renderings for a changed Delta Center or even a new building. And the mall that I went to as a kid is now a practice facility for the Utah Jazz and the Utah Mammoth. When we're talking about Love Salt Lake and we're talking about the volleyball side of this, where are those sports adjacent and real estate opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head. I think that was the thing, that realizing that the local government, city, municipality, community has really gotten behind the NHL team. We actually went to a game. I just flew back from Salt Lake. I was there last night. I've been there for like the last 3 or 4 days. And we went to a Mammoth game, and just to see the energy in that facility and what Ron Smith has created. He and I spoke at an event together in Arizona last year at PAC, Pro Athlete Community. So I'm gonna try to connect with him this week if he flies out. And just seeing what's happening with MLS NWSL team, the commissioner of NWSL said it best. Like, you could get an NWSL franchise for $5 million in 2021, and I think they just sold the 17th franchise to the Arthur Blank family for $165 million. So just women's sports in general is finally getting its just due. Obviously, the new CBA agreement with the WNBA players. And then if you look at what's happening around college athletics, and obviously I'm here in College Station, I'm an Aggie, obviously, and our Texas A&M women's volleyball team just won the national championship. So there's just a lot of positive things happening. And with Salt Lake, we're a part-time resident. I think people are kind of misconstrued. We're not there full-time, but we have a place there in Park City we try to get up to, and we're passionate about Utah. I mean, our ultimate dream one day is to spend 6 months out of the year up there in that area, to get out of the heat, especially in the summer here in Texas. But if you look at the real estate development opportunities, that's what I'm trying to discover and wrap my mind around, because, with Atletico Dallas, our team that we own here in Texas, we're working on the 80-acre stadium district development. And so not saying that the Love team will be an 80-acre development, but I'm excited to partner with the local city municipality and find the right site to build something, practice facility, stadium, and all that in one place for sure.
Terrence Murphy is our guest here for a few more minutes on the Sean O'Connell Show, talking Love Salt Lake, professional women's volleyball, and the whole Love League. One of the things that I appreciate about it is the accessibility for families, for young kids, for young girls. I'm a dad of 3 girls, right? You want them to see the good examples. You want them to be able to talk to people that are doing something that maybe they will end up trying to do as they get older in life. And it's something that with these emerging leagues, to me, is unique, because we all love the NFL. We all love Major League Baseball. Here we really enjoy the NBA and our new NHL team. But accessibility to those athletes, those coaches, those facilities, their time, for obvious reasons, is difficult. And it feels like with Love Salt Lake and with the league as we know it, with the NWSL and some of these other kind of growth properties, part of the mission or part of the game plan for growth is to be more integrated in the community and to be, I don't know, maybe have a better, like, actual personal relationship with your fans. Is that something that you're paying attention to? Is that something you're trying to drive forward?
It's something I'm very passionate about, having 2 little girls, being a girl dad, a volley dad, and a soccer dad myself. And then I have my son that I coach in flag football and basketball and soccer too. But I think that, you think about it, like you said, we're a similar age, right? In the 80s and 90s, growing up as a kid, you would see the Michael Jordans and the Emmitt Smiths and the Jerry Rices, but you had no access to them. And you were still inspired just by what you saw on TV. So now to be able to see them on TV as the media deals are growing and there's a lot happening there, but then to be able to get to them, and we have access to that because we're here in College Station, and it's similar probably for Utah and BYU, where, here in College Station, Texas A&M, like, you're seen as the pro team on the football team and volleyball team and whatever. So being able to give those kids access, like, we're just trying to inspire these babies, to encourage them. And sports is just, it's a great tool to teach life lessons to our kids, to get them off the couch, to get the electronics out of their hands. And are they all going to go pro? No, but they can learn a lot of lessons with hard work and perseverance and teamwork, learning different ethnicities and learning how to lead and how to deal with hard days and hard moments. That's where sports will never take a back seat to, AI and some of the things that's coming down the pipe. And then from a fan standpoint, it's one of the places you can go and leave whatever's going on in your life outside the gym or the court or the stadium and just enjoy that 2 to 3, 4 hour moment with being a fan. And it's very organic. I think that's why sports will always be at the forefront in our country.
You referenced the new CBA in the WNBA. And I foresee, with the now minimum salary around $300,000, obviously that's a good living. That changes not only the way that fans are going to, I guess, approach that game, but also it changes for the athletes themselves what they need to do with their life, right? A lot of WNBA players would spend a WNBA season making their $60K, and then they would go play overseas to earn some more income opportunities, to help their families out, whatever. And probably they don't need to do that anymore. I don't know if they're still going to, but you don't have to do it anymore to make a livable wage as a professional athlete with this new CBA. With volleyball in an emerging league, do we foresee probably years down the road, admittedly, but do we foresee a situation where, or do you want it to be a situation where Love volleyball players, Love Salt Lake players don't do the overseas thing in the Love off season, where they can just be here, focus on their families, focus on development for the league, whatever, and not have to kind of split those responsibilities?
Yeah, selfishly, I'm always going to have that passion, right? Because I played in college sports when, I was the face of Texas A&M football. I was a top draft pick. I was a 2-time All-American, 2-time team captain, 2-time first-team All-Conference, 3-time academic All-Conference, blah, blah, blah. And I was eating double cheeseburgers over the weekend, right? 99-cent burgers where, there's millions of dollars being made. So I'm always going to be an athlete at heart, even though I'm owning these sports teams and sports investments. And yes, I want my LPs to get returns, and I want my partners to get to get a good return on their capital. But there is no sports without the athlete, right? The number one resource, the number one asset is the talent at the end of the day. And one of the things we want to do is I want to invest in the whole ecosystem of the athlete. So, recovery, health, mental health, long-term health, and then obviously the ability to perform while they're playing for us. But then how do we transition them into the real world as professionals and parents and mothers and investors? And, I'm even already working on a plan through Synergy Sports Capital where we're going to have a cohort of athletes from all sports, NWSL, WNBA, Love Volleyball, to be able to come work at our firm a couple months out of the year and learn and see what it looks like on this side of the fence. Because that's something I wish I would have gotten when I was playing in the NFL. So, yeah, we're going to bring a different element to private equity. We won't, but at the end of the day, the athlete is the number one asset to whatever we decide to do. And then with Salt Lake, the vision is simple. When you look at my history at Texas A&M and Kyle Field, there's 110,000 people that cram into that stadium. It's a tough environment. And then you look at Lambeau Field. Those are two historic places to play. And it's, season tickets to get there's a thing in Green Bay, right? People know about some of our traditions, but one of the things in Wisconsin is when you have a kid, you go to the stadium and you put them on the waiting list. So that by the time they become an adult, they can most likely get season tickets. And so that's something I want to create, that same Lambeau Field and Kyle Field atmosphere with our stadium in Salt Lake, right? We're playing at the Slick right now, and it's a really loud gymnasium. I actually went and got to see it. It's a really good place. But our ultimate goal is to have our own home in the future and work with the city to create something for not only to love youth, middle school, high school, but also that pro team and have that ecosystem all in one place. That's my ultimate dream and vision. And, man, to have the acoustics set up perfectly where that's one of the hardest places to play in all of love.
All right, I'm gonna be unfair here. I'm gonna ambush you with a question that's not about Love Salt Lake, but it is about your experience as a venture capitalist, as someone who's been involved with these private equity deals. The University of Utah made a lot of headlines for bringing private equity investment into their athletic department and being the first university to do it. We know that the Big Ten has talked about it. We know that other schools and other conferences have talked about potentially doing that. And the University of Utah, they did it. I don't know how much you've been able to look at it. I don't know if you're aware of full details on it, but just from a grand, like 10,000-foot view of this thing, what do you think of private equity being involved in college football, college basketball, college gymnastics, the heritage programs at the University of Utah?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think one of the things why, when we made our announcement of Synergy Sports Capital a couple weeks ago, we had 300 inquiries in like the first 7 days on our website, on socials. And, Reggie Bush is one of my partners. And I think for the first time, I'll talk about myself, being a D1 athlete, being a pro athlete, and then being in investing for 21 years. And then I was like, I was the time where I was on the 12-man finance committee at Texas A&M, dealing with all the numbers behind our athletics, right? And so I've seen it from so many different perspectives. And so I bring just a point of view that's very unique. And I think that's where a lot of the family offices are reaching out because they get that, right? This guy has a track record, but he did it on the field, off the field. So to answer your question, it was only a matter of time. It's inevitable. As much as you want to keep PE out, with the profit sharing and the NIL and where athletic departments are, it's tough. And you got to make sure you're trying to break even or make money at the end of the day from an athletic and university standpoint. And donors only can give so much when the kids and the talent, once again, going back to what I said earlier, the kids and the talent are demanding more, right? Like I said, I was on a scholarship and eating double cheeseburgers and I was happy. That's just not the kids in 2026. Like now that this has kind of opened up the can of worms, it's just different expectations all the way around. And we're not putting that back in the box. Like there's just no way to go back from now. So I think this is the new wave, and I think it's just inevitable. And like you said, with the deal with Ultra Capital in Utah, they really just created a new asset class, and now everybody's kind of scrambling to figure out how do you make it make sense.
Do you foresee a possibility of Synergy Sports Capital, your company, being involved at some point in, I don't know, Texas A&M, maybe USC, because your partner is Reggie Bush?
I think, honestly, if that were to happen and that possibility, is there, I think selfishly, I don't want to speak for Reggie, but I know his heart. I think we would both, it would be a dream come true to be involved in our universities, our alma maters, in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So, whether it's USC or Texas A&M, yeah, for sure, no brainer. And I think Synergy Sports Capital, once again, brings a very unique perspective because as much as we're focused on emerging leagues and teams with real estate development opportunities and sports adjacent businesses, when it comes to college athletics, the driver is college football. There's just no way around it. And obviously, me and him winning the Heisman and us being both first, second round draft picks, if you look at just the numbers, right, there's 1,600 guys, give or take, in the NFL. But every year there's about, 60 to 70 guys that get drafted in the first 2 rounds. There's a very, very small group of people. And if you remove the O-line, D-line, and you just do the skill guys, it's even a smaller class, right? We do a draft thing every year where the top kind of athletic, athletes go take photo shoots together and stuff. But all that being said, no, I think it's a very unique time to be in private equity, to be in sports. But no, it's a no-brainer that Synergy Sports Capital will be at the forefront of those conversations as they mature. We're already having some of those conversations.
You mentioned your son is involved in flag football right now. Will he be involved in tackle football eventually?
With Junior, it's a weird dynamic, right? There was a time when we knew we were having a boy, and I said, babe, do we want to name him Junior, Terrence Murphy Jr.? She said, honey, that's your dream. We need to do it. So she pushed me on that. But I knew what comes with the territory of him wearing my name here in Aggie Land and growing up as an athlete. But he's very special. He's got some unique talents. He's probably way more advanced than I was in soccer, basketball, and football. But as long as I can keep him away from tackle, I'm going to try to, as long as I can. But I try to get him into golf. I'm like, man, you could be the next Tiger Woods. And then now I'm like, hey, you should be Mbappe and do soccer. And he just loves football. So we'll see.
Before I let you go, what's the best way that our listeners can get involved and support what you are doing with Love Salt Lake?
Man, I would say just, get out to the games. Jordan Poulter, I'll quote this from somebody who said it this weekend. She's the LeBron James of setters, right? Like, she's just really talented. And, as a setter, she's the quarterback, right? And one of the key reasons that I really started leaning in that direction is I'm like, okay, who's my setter? Because that's who's going to touch the ball the most. That's who's going to lead the team. That's going to be your heartbeat of the team. And getting to meet Jordan this last week and the team in general, and then also just meeting the staff, the coaches, and the supporting staff from Love, man, everybody was just not only kind, but the culture that they're building in 2 years to go from being at the bottom of the pack last year to really this year dominating. They were 8-1 at one point before some of the injuries plagued the team. And, they're playing Houston tonight in Houston, and we're going to go drive down, and then we're bringing Terrence Love Volleyball Houston team there to support our team in person. But, no, I just think it's a great time. So anybody that is there local, like we want your support. We want you involved. And, let's get behind this. And as things come up, just know that I didn't just come there just to invest in a team and flip it. My ultimate dream is to build something that's great long-term. And actually, my first experience is in Salt Lake. I played there. We played Utah my junior year at Kyle Field. And then my senior year, we played at Salt Lake there at Utah University. And so now I have a love for that area and want to build a great enterprise and a great team.
Remind our listeners what happened when you visited Salt Lake City. How'd that game go for the Aggies?
Well, we got you guys my junior year at Kyle Field. I'll give you the history on that. So obviously we had a legendary coach, R.C. Slocum. And if you look back in the Southwest Conference days and early Big 12, and in my sophomore year, we had just beat the number one team in the nation, Oklahoma. And then two games later, we had a 2-game slide, and we fired our legendary coach. Still to this day, Texas A&M. I think we as Aggies can all speak to that. It just obviously wasn't the best decision. And then we brought in Coach Francione from Alabama. Probably wasn't the best decision. So we played you guys here. And I always give Alex Smith a hard time. He's a friend of mine. When I see him, I tell him, I say, you owe Texas A&M a lot of money. And he's like, why? And I said, well, when you played at Kyle Field in 2003, you were the third-string quarterback. And think about it. What's the likelihood of a third-string quarterback playing? It's probably slim to none.
Right.
But the starting quarterback, our defense ended up injuring him. I think they he broke his ribs, and he was out. And then on the last play of the game in 2003, they broke the wrist of the second-string quarterback. I think he tried to dive in the end zone and broke his wrist. So then Alex Smith comes in. You guys go on a 10-2 run. And then that next year, they go 12-0. And that does not happen if that A&M game doesn't happen. So I always give him a hard time about that. But no, we came to Utah on Thursday Night Football and got our butts kicked. I don't remember what the score was. I know my junior year, I had almost 250 yards on 7 touches against Utah. And they were even mentioning some Heisman conversations after that game because it was just crazy. And then my senior year, I had 100 and some yards, but we got our butts kicked for sure. They came out on fire. Our defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and we got torn up.
You were on the field tearing it up. I was a walk-on on the sideline, probably not even dressed, I don't think, in that game, just cheering on the guys who were actually doing it. But distinct memory.
Oh, man, you were on the team, bro?
Yeah, I was on the team. I wasn't on the field, if you know what I mean.
Oh, it's all love. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, because when I see Utah guys now, the first thing they bring up, even when I was in the NFL going through the combine, the process, they were like, anytime I would see them, they would always just keep bringing it up. Because there was a guy that was on the team. I don't remember his name. I know we're reminiscing now. I know we need to go. We'll close with this. There was a guy on y'all's team. There was a DB that supposedly ran a 4.1. And they were like, this guy ran a 4.17 or a 4.20. He's the fastest DB in the nation.
Ryan Smith.
We called bluff on that. But either way, I got a reverse, and he was running to try to catch me. And I made him disappear in the screen. I was like an 80-yard touchdown reverse. People who want to call my bluff, go look it up. It was an 80-yard, I think, speed reverse or something. But he's running right next to me, and I made him disappear. And I was fast. I ran a 4.3, but I didn't run a 4.1. And then from that point on, like, the guys from Utah were like, you're the fastest guy we've ever seen. Because in their mind, they see this guy who they've been told runs a 4.1, and I just ran off on him. And anytime I see somebody from Utah, they bring that up. Man, I remember you, number 5. You were the fastest guy we've ever seen play football. So it was something that always came up.
Well, we're glad you're back in the Salt Lake City world as an owner now instead of as a competitor. Congrats on all your success. Next time you're in town, let's get you here in studio, all right?
We'd love to do it, brother. Thank you for your time, man.
That's Terrence Murphy. He's partners with Reggie Bush and others in Synergy Sports Capital, now owners of Love Salt Lake, LOVB Volleyball, Salt Lake. All right, Big Willies, we're here on remote. Come hang out with us. Sweet 16 games happening, and, of course, lots more to get to on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show, welcome back. We're at Big Willie's today. Patrick sitting down with us, the mastermind of all things Big Willie's. He runs the place. R.J. Rice is also here on site. He's going to join us in just a couple of minutes. Former Utah football player turned comedian. He's headlining at Wise Guys locally coming up. We'll talk all the details with him in just a couple of minutes. But before we get there, Sweet 16 opening day. A lot of reasons just from the sports perspective to come down here to Big Willie's. And then, Pat, on top of that, you add the drink specials and the food specials. Really, it's just a bad idea to miss out on Big Willie's.
Yeah, I mean, with our pricing and our food and our cocktails, I don't know why you'd go anywhere else than Big Willie's to satisfy your sports thirst.
I love that. Satisfy your sports thirst. Put that on a T-shirt.
I think I will.
Maybe paint it on the side of the building.
Michelle will not allow that, but the T-shirt is a high possibility.
I learned about the division of labor here. You do radio, and Michelle does television.
Yes. I was told that I have a face for radio, and Michelle does all live interviews for obvious reasons.
On-camera stuff.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been fair because you do a lot of radio, and she's only done a couple.
Oh, yeah, they're few and far between. It's definitely, when I struck the deal, I didn't realize how often I'd be on the radio and how few times she'd be on TV.
What kind of specials you running all weekend long? Because it's not just today. Obviously, Sweet 16 starts today, but there's games the rest of the weekend in baseball, hockey, NBA basketball, college basketball, 2 fight nights, PFL and UFC going head-to-head on Saturday night as well. So you got a lot going on.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on this weekend for sure. We do have 9 TVs, so everything will be broadcast. Maybe not all the MLB games, but the UFC, the PFL, the Sweet 16 games will definitely all be on. And we got great specials. I mean, like today we have Jefferson Oceans for $5, which is ridiculous. Wheatley, other options at $4, and a great cocktail menu. So come down, try a craft cocktail, and like I said before, everything is freshly made, simple syrups, juices. Everything is very crafty here without the stuffiness of a craft bar.
And then you've got the number 1 pool hall in Utah, which is attached, adjacent, right there through those doors. Also, trivia nights. You just did How I Met Your Mother trivia.
Yep. That was on Wednesday, last night.
Yeah. Bingo is on Tuesdays, right?
Bingo's on Tuesdays. We mix in some craft night and paint nights on Mondays, so keep an eye out for those. Sunday we do poker, which is a fun, it's free to play. Jackpot's $300.
Nice.
Yeah, and then in the pool room, guys, if you haven't been to a pool hall in a long time, come down to Big Willie's. The pool hall is immaculate. We keep really good care of the tables. It's really fun environment in there as well. We have TVs and music blasting on the weekends, so if you're not wanting to go to a movie or spend money elsewhere, you can come down to Big Willie's and it will be easy on your wallet.
Just don't try to hustle anyone at a pool game here.
No, don't get wrapped up in that.
Because then Patrick's going to have to step in.
Yeah, there's people here that are professionals. So just stay with your own people.
1717 South Main, that's where you find Big Willie's, the best place to watch any sports. And even if there's not an event that you need to watch on, just come down and have dinner here, have lunch here. The food is truly incredible, and they keep the drink specials very wallet-friendly every single time. Thanks for having us down.
Yep, you're welcome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Look, I've been looking forward to this next conversation. R.J. Rice, he and I had similar times at the University of Utah. He was a little better than me, but not necessarily a megastar player. He has now decided to dip his toes into the stand-up comedy world, and you can find some of his highlights on social. You can also find him at Wise Guys. The former Utah defensive back, R.J. Rice, sits down with us to talk all things. We'll maybe talk a little football, but I'm mostly interested in your comedy journey. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
can't wait.
And for the people, the uninitiated, you were on that Sugar Bowl team, right?
I was on the that was my senior year Sugar Bowl team, 2009. We beat Alabama. We were undefeated. It was fun. It was a good year to end on. It was. It also too was Coach Scally, his first year as defensive back coach, and I was his one of his safeties at that time.
So now he's the head coach. So you know Morgan. I know Morgan. Everyone here is super excited about Morgan, but he's got huge shoes to fill.
Oh, buddy, does he ever?
Yeah. Most of us don't have to be the guy to follow a guy. I guess I kind of did this stepping in for Bill Riley. I don't know why I decided that was a good idea, but here we are. But, yeah, I mean, what do you think it's going to be like for Morgan?
I'm pumped for him, honestly. I went to practice for the first time in a while because I hadn't seen him in a while, and it was great seeing him. He seemed in good spirits. Dude, the team looked awesome. They looked just – fun. Everybody was chippy, having a good time, competing, and I'm honestly excited. I'm pumped for Coach Whittingham. I'm pumped that he gets opportunity to go and coach for Michigan. I think that's great. I'm pumped for him, but I'm really excited for Scally and what he's got going.
All right, let's talk about your decision, your efforts. Let's talk about stand-up comedy because so I think that most people, right? They see someone who's acting, they're like, man, it would be cool to be an actor. And we see professional athletes, oh, man, it'd be cool to be a basketball player. It'd be cool to play professional baseball. And I think that stand-up comedy falls into that realm where everybody watches it, laughs at it, enjoys it. It's like, oh, man, it'd be really cool to be a stand-up comedian. Is it really cool to be a stand-up comedian? Because there's like kind of a grind. You're not yet like a big-time head. Like it's not as glamorous. Like, so is it cool?
For the first few years, no, it is not. It's terrible. Honestly, it's one of the worst things you can do as a human being. It's you're just putting yourself out there. You don't really know what you're doing, and it's hard. Now it's a lot more fun because I'm getting, I get laughs, and for the last year or two, it's been a lot more fun doing it, and it's always been fun. But man, the first little while when you're just bombing all the time. It's rough.
I could not survive that, okay? Like, I've been knocked out in front of many thousand, maybe a million people. I've had bad experiences, embarrassing experiences. I could not stand up behind a microphone and watch people think I'm not funny.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, well, at least somebody else was knocking you out, right? In stand-up, it's you. You're knocking yourself out, right? Like, you're saying something that's so – they're like, why did you say that into a microphone, right? Like, you said that out in public.
That's why radio's so great. I say things that people don't find funny all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have to see it.
Yeah, you don't have to see it. You don't have to, yeah. No, that is nice. That's very nice. But, yeah, it's in stand-up, it can be very rough. There was once – man, there's always one that comes to mind. I had a little corporate event. And what I thought what I was going into was people were drinking and having a good time, but it wasn't any of that. It was like this thing where they were, all buttoned up and ready to go, and lights were on and everyone could see. And I'm like, oh, and this was a couple years ago, and I'll never forget that moment. And it was just so rough, and it was like 20 minutes of just pure. Oh, yeah, it was rough.
That's awesome.
Right? It is. It really is.
That's incredible. But you stick to it.
Yeah, you just stick to it, and you learn, and you get better, and you try it a different way. There's a lot of guys that go and don't do that part. They just keep going and bombing. and those are fun to watch, too.
That would be me, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you see these people do crowd work all the time. You see guys or gals that seem like they're maybe a little bit more improvisational. Obviously, you got to write your routine, and we were talking off air. You've got, almost a full hour.
Yeah, I got about a full hour. I talk a lot about my kids. I've got kids that are about teenage, preteen age, so that's plenty of material right there.
Sure.
I could do a whole hour on that. But I talk about I used to be, Mormon. I'm a college football player. I talk about right now a fun one that I've been doing, speaking of crowd work, is conspiracy theories, especially with what's going on in the world today.
Yeah.
So that's been a fun one. I just kind of talk about, different conspiracies, get people's thoughts on them and stuff. So that's been a fun thing.
So do you like the off-the-cuff stuff or the writing better?
I like both, honestly. The writing stuff is really fun, just because you get to kind of work on it and, like, you try something, it didn't really work, but that also always hard because you'll go and you'll spend, hours on this thing, and then you go and you try it and it doesn't land.
Okay,
And you're
so
like, oh, dude, come on.
When you try it, right? Because, we'll use a sports analogy because that's what we're doing here. This is Sports Talk Radio, right? So, you're an offensive coordinator. You design a play. You think it's going to work. You got a special personnel package for it. You're just like, we got to get the ball into RJ's hands. This makes perfect sense. Let's do this. You take it out to practice. You run it a few times. The defense blows it up. You're like, that didn't work out the way I thought it would. And it never sees the light of day. When you are trying out your stuff, are you doing it on stage?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Wow.
you're doing a lot of open mics, so that's where the open mic comes in. People to hear about, comics going to open mics, and that's kind of like practice, honestly. That's like a comedian's practice. They're going in, they're, trying new material, they're trying different things. And the other thing about open mics, there's different places, different people, different environments, so you want to try it in all different environments. And so that's usually how that goes. Usually where the worst bombs happen is when you're bombing on a weekend, because that's usually when, you should be doing a lot better.
That's when you're not running the practice plays.
Yeah,
that's when you've got, this is our bread and butter. This is the good stuff.
Yeah, and they're taking your stuff that you've been working on, and you will throw some stuff in. I'm doing some weekend shows this, up in Wise Guys Ogden. Opening for Jenna Kim Jones, and so I might try, maybe a joke or two or different tags, in some of those, because you get longer sets on those. But I usually don't go too far into the woods on weekend stuff.
So the grind of climbing the ladder in stand-up comedy. I'm a big stand-up comedy fan, so I don't know if I know anything about the industry or not. I feel like maybe I at least pay attention to the idea that, it isn't glamorous at first. And there's a lot of similarities with, certain sports. I was in the MMA world, the combat sports world for a long time. Your first fight is for either free or for $50, and then you hope someday you're fighting for $1 million or whatever. Stand-up comedy feels like it's a little like that.
Oh, very much. Oh, yeah. Open mics, you're not getting paid for open mics. So, yeah, the first couple years, first 100 times you're on stage at least, you're not even getting paid. Oftentimes you're paying money.
Sure.
You're paying to, hey, I got to pay parking lot to get into the venue. I got to pay to get into the venue. I got to pay for, I'm eating while I'm there. So you're losing money, for the first long while. And then you start to get gigs, and then, it's few and far between, and they're $20 here, $50 here. You get $100. You're like, holy cow, I got $100. What? Shut up.
When did you have the realization, and maybe it's still coming, that you're like, no, I can do this? Because there's the idea of I want to learn how to play the guitar. You pick up a guitar, you start playing around with it. And then maybe you're like, I'm actually decent at this. And maybe you put that guitar back down and you never touch it again. Again, in sports, we do this. Most of the time when we're kids, I played basketball. I was terrible at it. I'll wrestle instead, right? A lot of people, I imagine, in your world, they go to that first or second or 10th open mic and they're just like, you know what, this isn't for me.
Oh, yeah.
When did you decide, no, I'm getting a few laughs. I can actually do this?
It was pretty early on. I would say within a couple weeks, I was like, all right, I'm getting at least laughs.
Yeah.
Because there was a few guys, because I started right during COVID, and so there was quite a few people that started around the same time as me, and so I was kind of comparing myself. You kind of do that sort of thing, and I was getting some laughs, and I was like, all right, this is worth pursuing, and at least it's fun, and that was the main thing for me is I was having fun. I kind of told myself as soon as I stopped having fun, I'm going to stop doing this. But I've just been having fun, the whole time and just continuing to do that. And so it's been, a great thing. I saw Louis C.K. last year. He's a big person I look up to. And man, it was awesome seeing him and watching how he did things. And that was that was a big moment for me. Like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what's going on. And that was actually very helpful, and watching other people is very helpful in understanding how you do things. And so he was actually really helpful to watch and just go, oh, okay, I kind of get what's going on here.
Well, okay, that's so interesting to me because, again, like I watch football a lot, and I know that I can't play football. I tried.
Yeah.
I know that, like, I know where my limit was. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like Weber State, beyond that, you're not good.
Yeah.
Okay, couldn't get on the field at Utah. Like, I don't watch NFL games and be like, I could do what that guy's doing. I do find myself, like, I went to my lovely wife, got us tickets to Shane Gillis when he came to the Delta Center. I love Shane Gillis. I'm watching Shane Gillis. I'm laughing at every single thing he says, but I have this delusional attitude towards it. Just like, he's not doing anything special. I could do this. We could all do this. He's just going up there. He's just talking about his life. He's laughing at his sister or whatever. I'm having those thoughts at the exact same time where I fully acknowledge from an intellectual standpoint that the gap between, like, the funny guy at the party and a headliner at a stadium show, that's a massive, massive gap.
Yeah.
So, like, but again, there's no, like, set. The NFL doesn't even pay attention to you if you're the guy sitting on the couch being like, hey, I could do that. In stand-up comedy, you can go try it.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, yeah, you can. Jimmy, with stand-up, it's one of those things where you can get better at it. It is a skill.
Okay.
And you do have to have some, just like with football, right? You can't send a guy that's 5'2" out there and expect him to play defensive line. It's not going to happen, right? So you have to have some,
Sure.
something
Natural
going on.
ability,
Natural abilities.
Which
There's
in
got to
this
be
case is
something.
a sense of humor.
A sense of humor. You've got, you're willing to say things that others aren't willing to say. But the big thing is practicing, getting better, and trying things. And like even with Shane Gillis, the way he says things, his pauses, right? The way he stands, all those things he's thought about. He's been doing it for, 15, 20 years at this point, I think. Yeah. And so that's all stuff that he's thought about and he's, calculated through, and he's thought about, okay, I need to sit here and I'm going to sit here for this long, right? And okay, or that was too long, right? And so those are all things that he's developed over the years, but you do have to have some level of something to start with.
Can it be coached?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's definitely guys that have gotten better.
Aren't you lame though if you have you call a comedy coach? Like I'm asking genuinely, because if you want to get better at what I did for a long time or what I'm doing now, it's totally acceptable for you to be like, I need to get some coaching on this.
Yeah.
In comedy, isn't that like,
is there a thing?
No, you're not funny.
That happens. Well, yeah. Okay, so there's both. There's definitely guys that it's like, hey, you're just not funny, dude. Like, let's just move on with our lives. Like, come on. And a lot of some of those guys still don't get it, and they're open mics. You can come see them whenever you want. But, with guys that are trying to get at it and trying to do better, there are people that do coach. Where I've seen the most success, because there are guys in Utah that have, pretty good followings, 100K followers on Instagram and things of that nature, and are headlining and traveling around. And really it's about learning from the guys ahead of you, the guys that are doing it, the guys, hey, what do you want to be doing? Ask that guy, hey, how did you do it? What did you do? What were the things? And really, most comedians, most guys are pretty chill. They're pretty nice. They're pretty, open to, hey, this is what I did. This is what works. One of my favorite advices that I ever heard was one of the guys was saying, I'm not going to say who the famous comedian was, but the famous comedian told him, what you should do? Do something that nobody else has ever done. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Well, duh. Of course.
How do you come up with something that has never been
done exactly.
in human history?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so that's so there is stuff that can be coached, there's stuff that can be done, but yeah, I mean at the end of the day you just gotta kinda be funny and have a good time.
RJ Rice is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. We're down here at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. It is opening day in baseball, Sweet 16 basketball tonight, food and drink specials at Big Willie's. What's the funniest thing that happened to you while you were on the Utah football roster?
Oh, man, dude. There was a lot of silly things that happened. I'm trying to think of something that I can say on the radio.
It's a family show.
Yeah,
so
it's
be
a family
careful.
friendly. I was like, well, the first one that comes to mind I can't say.
Don't incriminate.
I'm not gonna incriminate
Rojo or
anyone.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. Robert. Man, funniest thing. One of the funny ones was when we left Brian after the Sugar Bowl.
Wait,
Brian Johnson, our quarterback.
Yeah.
We won the Sugar Bowl. We had just won the greatest game of Utah football history.
correct.
We were undefeated. Brian Johnson, our leading quarterback, did all these things. We had celebrated, and then we're almost to the hotel home, and Brian's trying to call people because we left him at the stadium.
Wait, is this a story we've heard? 877-353-0700. If you're listening, and
I'm
you're
sure
dead,
somebody's told that.
Did we know this happened and I've just forgotten about it?
Yeah.
Brian must have told this story.
Oh, I'm sure he has. Yeah, that's
I
one of
I
the,
don't
that's a
remember
classic.
hearing it though.
We just left him. Yeah, we just left him. And somebody, I can't remember whose phone. Somebody's phone's like, "Hey," somebody answered was like, Brian's at the Superdome."
Why are you calling me, Brian?
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was a silly thing.
Will you tell the story of your accidental touchdown?
Oh, dude, the accidental touchdown. That's a funny one. So we were playing Wyoming, and it was a windy day in Wyoming because there's nothing in Laramie to stop the wind. It's always windy there. And I was on punt team, and we were going down, and the ball went right over the guy's head. Barely missed him, but we didn't know it touched him. He didn't know it touched him. The only person that knew was the referee.
It touched like his head.
It touched his head, just barely touched his head.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so it trickled past him and went into the end zone. And so Clint Maurer, he was the long snapper. He gets up there first, and then I get up there second, and we kind of look at each other, and we look at the ball, and the ball's just standing there. And so I just kind of casually pick it up, and the referee's, and I just kind of hand it to him. And he's holding his hands like this in touchdown position. And I said to him, I was like, "Did I just score a touchdown?" And he goes, "Are you serious?" And so no, it gets better. So that was back in the day, right? Years ago. So I saw Clint Maurer, that guy, about a year ago at an alumni thing.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Hey, Clint, we were talking, we were chatting, and I said, 'Do you remember that play?' And he's like, 'Dude, I have nightmares about that play every day.' And I was like, 'Nightmares? That seems a little
Why would-
excessive, but why would you have nightmares?" And he's like, "RJ, if I had picked up that ball, I would have been the only long snapper in Utah football history to ever score a touchdown. And you were just some guy." I was like, "Yeah,
You're not
fair
just
enough."
some guy,
I was like,
RJ.
"Hey, I scored an accidental touchdown. Thank you very much."
That's awesome. I mean, it goes in the record book.
Hey, it's in. It's on the stat
So
sheet.
you get to tell people that
Hey.
you scored a touchdown.
That's right.
Majored in Division I football.
That's
which
right.
That's a tiny percentage of the human population.
There's
who's
very
done
few of us. Yep, I was also, my other claim to fame with football is that I was on, were you on the college football game, the video game?
that. No, it was pre outlawing, but they were they only went too deep. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you were like
Yeah,
four deep,
no, I was the
where
same way,
was,
yes.
Like, I was very, very hopeful.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm on the roster. My second year on the roster. We're one of the biggest teams in the country. This is cool.
Yeah.
And then the game comes out, and it's just like, oh, dang it, there's no number 49 at all on the roster.
No, I was the same way. My first 2 years, my sophomore and junior year, same exact thing. I was not on the game, and then finally my senior year, we were hyped up to be a good team and yada yada. And I get on the game, and I was so pumped. I get on number 7, I'm right there, and in the game I'm black. I was so excited. I was like, dude, how awesome is this? It was fun.
They put me in the UFC 2 video game, and I was like super thrilled. It was cool. You know, I have the kind of face that if you render me as a video game character, it looks exactly like me.
Really? All right.
I'm,
They can do it,
Like
huh?
I am whatever you call that, video game genic.
Yeah.
I look just like I actually look. And they got my tattoos right and everything, and I was just like, oh, sweet, I'm in the UFC video game. And then I had one more fight in the UFC, and then they cut me. And so then they took me out of the video game. So there was like a blessed 9 months of my life where I was in the UFC 2 video game.
That's cool.
And You can find it actually. Like Mike Tyson is also a downloadable character in that UFC video game.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a film thing for the Professional Fighters League. We were down with Mike Tyson at his like camp at his weird like compound. We were filming some stuff, watching fights together, and as an icebreaker, the producer found a YouTube video of his video game character beating the you-know-what out of my video game character. And we watched that together.
Oh, that's fun.
And I was just like making it be. I was like, oh, Mike, come on, man. And he was so confused. He was just like, wait a second. I'm in this video game? I'm like, yeah, we're both in this video game, and you're beating me up in the video game. He's like, this is a real game? And I was like, yes, Mike. Like,
Yeah.
This is UFC 2. You're a character in UFC 2. And he's looking for his manager, and he's like, nobody paid me to be in this video game. How did they get me in this game?
No way.
And like, I'm sitting there with Mike Tyson. He's just knocked me out in the game in like 40 seconds, and I'm thinking it's going to be funny, and it's upsetting him because he doesn't think he's not getting royalties for the game.
You're like, I'm not sure how I ended up here. Oh, that's funny.
This coming in on the text line from 9653. The funniest part is RJ was black, Joe Dale was white.
He was, actually. That's true. He was Joe Dale. Joe Dale was the other guy, and he was white. He's right on that. I'm pretty sure that's true.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, dude, old Joe Dale. That's right, baby.
All right. Tell the people how they can find your stand-up comedy.
If you're on any type of social, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, I'm on all that, RJ Rice. And then as far as the show, I've got a show next week, April 3rd. You can go to wiseguyscomedy.com for tickets for that. So, yeah, love to see you.
That's Salt Lake? Ogden?
Salt Lake,
Okay.
Salt Lake downtown location, Salt Lake, yeah.
All right.
Friday night.
Go check it out. And like, the football alum come to your shows every now and
Oh
then.
yeah, dude, you can. Yeah, Coach Scally came last one.
That's awesome.
Dude, we had Scally. We had Robert there. We had Stevenson Sylvester. Old Sly came out. Who else? We had Boone Brothers. So yeah, if you come to a show, you might meet some NFL guys.
Cool.
Not me, but somebody else.
And you will see when he's on stage, RJ, actually, he's white.
That's right.
If Joe Dale comes to the show, you will see that he is not.
He's not. Nope.
Unlike the video game. Dude, thanks for coming down and doing this.
Dude, thank you so much for having me.
And when you have shows,
Yeah.
right? When you like, just come on. And we'll
Oh
just
yeah, for sure.
shoot the breeze and
I
talk some
appreciate
stuff.
it.
All right.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you so much.
That's RJ Rice. Go get his stand-up comedy tickets at Wise Guys, Salt Lake, April 3rd. If you're a Utah football fan, especially get out there and support one of your fellow Utes. All right, Daily Dump is coming up next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, a quick daily dump before we wrap some things up here at Big Willie, 1717 South Main. Daily dump is brought to you by our friends at Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Oh, man. I wanted to avoid this. I didn't want to talk about this. Puka Nacua has been accused of biting somebody at a club. James, I don't know if you've seen this. Puka has a hard time keeping himself out of the wrong kind of headlines. And he's being sued right now for allegedly throwing out an anti-Semitic slur and then biting somebody hard enough to draw blood. The woman who has accused him said that it was an unwelcome situation, that she told him to stop, that he bit her once and then he bit her again, and the second time he bit her, it was like an actual injury. And there's not really a lot of denial coming out. The attorney for Puka said, it was just horseplay. So that sounds like there's some acknowledgement that biting actually happened. And then I was going to just avoid the story. And then the reason why we're talking about it now is because I think it was yesterday, a new video came out of the night of the alleged incident, and it shows Puka Nacua. It looks like they're in a club, and he is passed out. He is unconscious on a couch. And the alleged victim of his biting crime is there dancing on the couch, or dancing next to the couch, and people are just filming it. It's bananas that people actually live this life. And allegedly the video is from after the incident occurred, which I think is being used now by Puka's attorneys to suggest that this person didn't feel threatened or they wouldn't have I have no idea. But the important thing here is it shows Puka Nacua passed out in public. This is one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. This is a guy who is very soon going to be eligible for generational wealth that everybody who ever played a sport ever dreams about, but is always unrealistic, right? Jackson Smith-Njigba just got an average annual value on his contract extension of $42 million per year. He's got $120 million fully guaranteed in that contract. Puka Nacua stands to gain something almost exactly, probably slightly better than that because of how these contract things go. There needs to be an intervention. Nacua family, I know that there's a bunch of them in the state of Utah. He's got a brother at BYU right now. The best interest of this young man is to just say, hey, I know you want to party. I know you want to do this thing. For now, you got to sober up. You got to clean up. You got to do whatever until you get this next contract, until you get payday number 2 from the NFL. Remember, he's a 5th-round draft pick. So is he making money? Sure. But he's making $1 million a year right now, less than that. He's about to 40x his income. He's about to provide wealth that most families can never even possibly imagine for whomever he wants to share it with, or just to keep it for himself. And the only thing standing in his way is this kind of behavior, this pattern that is developing around him not being able to keep himself out of the wrong types of headlines. It is a bad situation. Some of this stuff could be construed as humorous if it didn't denote something perhaps more alarming, a lack of self-control that you don't want to, by all accounts, he seems to be a cool guy, a fun guy to be around for people that know him. I don't know him at all. I don't know his family at all. But this is problematic behavior that is going to potentially stand in his way for more important things. His talent means that the NFL is going to be incredibly permissive on some things, and he's still going to get a big contract. But you cannot afford to keep piling up these types of things. And it's a really, really bad look for your professionalism, for how people are going to perceive you as a teammate, as a whatever member of the community, when – passing out in public is just a bad idea for anyone. It's dangerous for anyone. Even if it's the only way he can put himself in danger publicly, by incapacitating himself with, we assume, is probably excessive consumption of alcohol, at least in the context of this video. It's a bad deal, man. James, have you seen?
Go ahead. I did see the story. I did not see the video. I saw the story, and honestly, regardless of whether he's found liable in this lawsuit or what kind of settlement that he has to work out because of this lawsuit, this is not the kind of what he's being alleged of doing, the biting and whatever else, is not anything that it's going to be crazy damaging, in my opinion. It might end up hurting his contract, but it's the kind of thing that it's like, this is another incident with him publicly. It's going to be kind of a pile-on thing, not necessarily a individually, this is a reason why we shouldn't invest in this guy kind of thing. And like you say, it feels like it's getting to a point where maybe it's past a point where he and the people around him need to talk some sense into him to be like, hey, especially publicly, like, tone it down. You have a lot to lose here if you aren't more careful.
Well said. And again, he has access to any resource that he needs to help him. I don't know if he's got an addiction problem. I don't know if he's an alcoholic or if he deals. It seems like substances are at least part of these incidents that we're hearing about. I'm not going to make any accusations about whether or not that's more of a significant pattern of behavior for him in terms of addiction or anything like that. But like the NFL, BYU, the community down in Orem and Provo, like there's all of these different layers of people and institutions that would rather see Puka succeed and would like to protect Puka from bad decisions. And I know that the hardest thing is to pick up the phone and call and ask for help or whatever, but like he's got 4 brothers, and it's probably unreasonable to ask baby brother, the younger brother, the youngest, who's at BYU right now. It's probably unreasonable to ask him to be like, hey, go fix your older brother's problems. But he's got older brothers that have not had the level of success in football or elsewhere that he has had, and they should want to protect him from it too. They lost their dad, unfortunately, when they were young. That's a really, really tough thing for people to get through, but that's a very, very tight-knit family as far as we understand because of that. Like, his older brothers, who, if nobody else, big brother, Kai Nakua, what are you doing? Samson Nakua, what are you doing? You have to stop this from becoming an issue for the most talented and most successful of your family. Not so you could get money from him, but so that he doesn't live with regret for, squandering the opportunities that he's got. Don't be biting people, Puka. Come on, man. Now, the only other thing I wanted to touch on in the Daily Dump was Tom Brady, when he threw one touchdown pass in that flag football exhibition that he did, he started to be like, it makes you wonder. No, Tom, it doesn't make anyone else wonder. We know you can throw touchdown passes still. We don't want to see you back on an NFL football field. And he did inquire with the NFL what the rules were around active players holding ownership stakes, because, of course, he does hold an ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. And the league said, no, we don't like that. And he said, okay, fine, I'll stay retired then. But it sounded like, at least for a couple minutes, Tom Brady contemplated a comeback. Don't do it, Tom. We don't need it. You don't need it either.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to hear him say they didn't like the idea. I'm going to leave it there. Like, and then say, I'm happily retired. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, why are you bringing this up if you were totally satisfied in being retired? Also, dude, like, we saw what happened with your family when you came back to football. Don't do that again. I mean, hey, I don't have I mean, he still has to take care of his kids. But he's like, I don't have to worry about that as much anymore. Well, I don't have a wife that's going to get mad at me. Maybe that's what his thinking is. You don't have to worry about the marriage, but come on, man. Also, just, like, you were great. You were one of the all-time greats. The only thing that affects the legacies of the all-time greats and the reputations of the all-time greats and calls into those things into question is like, yeah, Michael Jordan, did you really need to play for the Wizards? He played really good basketball for the Wizards.
But it's like you're only undercutting your own legend when you do stuff like that. Anyway, for the latest coverage of Utah spring football, make sure you tune into the Sean O'Connell Show. You can also go to the ESPN 700 Sports app or ESPN700sports.com. Spring football coverage is brought to you by Big Willie's, where we're at today, Game Day Men's Health, Burger Fusion, Valley Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, and Mountain Home Services.
Latest sound up there, by the way. Porter went up, and they had the assistant coaches and coordinators availability. Porter went and gathered that for us, so you got new offensive coordinator Kevin McGivern, new defensive coordinator Colton Swan, all the position coaches, including new offensive line coach Jordan Gross, some of the guys who've been here a while, Sharif Shah, Mark Otuaya, etc. That's all up on our spring football landing page on ESPN700sports.com.
Another reminder, Bill Riley is going to be hosting the Sean O'Connell Show tomorrow. He'll be at Wasatch Front Kia up in Ogden. I am flying out for PFL duties. We'll have PFL on Saturday. You can come down and watch it on ESPN at Big Willie's. There's also a UFC card that night. There's baseball happening, hockey happening, basketball, college basketball, Sweet 16 action tonight. We need to fit in one more PGA Tour leaderboard update here, James. What's going on at the Houston Open? While you bring that up, a reminder that our leaderboard updates are brought to you by Uinta Golf. And this week at Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf, Callaway Fitting and Bonus Trade-In event. It goes today through the weekend. Take advantage of 50% bonus trade-in towards your new purchase. Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf. Get there. What's going on at the Houston Open, James?
All right, Paul Waring is still your leader at 7 under. He is finished with his day, as are most of the golfers out there on course. Sam Burns is tied for second with a small group of guys at 5 under, a couple shots off the lead. Tied for fifth, a host of guys, including Kurt Kitayama at 4 under. Let's see, tied for eighth, you got Ricky Fowler, Jonathan Vegas at 3 under. That rounds out the top 10. A bunch of other guys, by the way, tied for 8th at 3 under. Tony Finau is through 8 holes. Decent start to his day. He's 1 under par. Still got basically the whole back 9 plus 1 to go on his round. So basically half his round left to gain on the lead. Again, 1 under. That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by Uinta Golf.
All right, let's give away some Wu-Tang Clan tickets to close out the show. We'll double up at the end, and then it'll be the drive. Is that okay, James? Does that work for you? Wu-Tang Clan at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. Final segment of the show is always brought to you by our friends over at Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100, $2,500 off, 10 windows or more. Let's see. Gordy Chiesa, we were talking about the incredible success that certain college basketball programs have had with multiple titles in the case of some. UCLA has more titles than any other NCAA basketball team. How many national championships does UCLA have? March Madness, Sweet 16 action happening right here at Big Willie's. Come down for the drink specials. Come down for the food specials. Come down for the whole weekend of incredible sports. Text in to 877-353-0700. Tickets to Wu-Tang Clan at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater if you know the total number of NCAA championships that UCLA basketball has won. James, are you producing when Bill is on the show tomorrow?
I will be in the producer's chair.
A little reunion for you and Bill. You, of course, were his producer as well. So,
absolutely.
And I will be joining, I believe, for the airing of grievances is the plan, if I'm not mistaken.
I got a feeling that Bill is going to try to not do airing of grievances, but we definitely need your hit with him. You definitely need to be like, I got a grievance there, Bill, just to make sure it still happens.
Yeah, Bill, it's still the Sean O'Connell Show, even though we're having you fill in, all right? See, airing of grievances is something we do on Fridays. But, yeah, I look forward to that. And I know everyone else does, too. We've gotten really good response. People excited about Bill coming back and hosting a show, at least for the day. And he will be on select absences when I'm out for PFL duties. He will be, when his schedule allows, he will be filling in a couple of times. So we look forward to that. But thanks for listening today. Big thanks to Big Willie's for having us out here. $4 drink specials. The big steins of beer are $6.25. Cold beers on draft every single day. The pints are $4.25. The food specials, chicken cordon bleu sandwich with fries today, grilled pork chop with Parmesan sauce, cheesy potatoes and broccoli. That's only $15. It's incredible food. It's like a world-class kitchen, and it's not just bar food. So come check it out. Tell them that OC sent you, and they'll take extra special good care of you over the weekend. Tune into the PFL on Saturday. Tune into the Sean O'Connell Show with Bill Riley tomorrow, and, of course, again on Monday when I'm back. James Peterson, great job. A jam-packed show today. He's there alone in studio by himself, just making sure it all stays on track despite my best efforts to derail things. So we'll see you again on Monday. Make sure you listen to Bill tomorrow. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.